That would be probably the best. I know very little about it, but I would say just by the names, I'm thinking
I think so.
that's a good match for us.
It's the easiest name to beat.
Well, let's hope so. Fingers crossed.
No, it does look good, I must say.
So is that on Saturday or Sunday then? Do you
know? I don't know. I don't know.
But it'll be good.
Yeah. So
exciting.
Probably
good game
Sunday.
yesterday
I'm not
too.
Sure they've actually been fixed. Really, they'd have to go to the county boards to set up times and dates. You know what I mean in terms of the cool parks availability, whatever. So.
But would that not all be pre-organised?
How do you? Well,
I suppose you don't know. Maybe last minute.
Yesterday, so they only knew yesterday.
But sure, they would have have it penciled in.
Of course, penciled in, but it has to be determined. Like.
All right, so we'll find out today.
So they go down Galway, Dublin, Cork, Kerry, Cavan.
Yeah.
So you watched the game. Did you ever? I heard you were well looked after yesterday.
I was well. Oh, yeah. Breakfast in bed. Lee brought us in toast and cheese and a cup of tea. And he says, I hope it's not too milky. I said, it was just perfect. I said, it was the best cup of tea ever.
Good man, Lee.
And it was his first time ever made me a cup of tea, and it was great. And I says, who told you to make the tea? I says, it was his mum. He says, no. I says, somebody at school told you to make the tea? He says, no. He says, just made it for you. And I says, how good's that?
He's all born.
He's the best.
Himself. He's a good lad.
Did you get tea in bed yesterday?
Yes, I did. I did.
You spoiled brat.
I know, I did for the first time since last year.
Oh, that's lovely. We have to wait once a year. We get used to this, couldn't we?
Good.
I know.
Anyway, Gooch,
thanks
show. So much indeed. Thank you. Okay, Lee Gooch back with you tomorrow morning at 6:30. We have a packed show coming up for you here in the 9 till noon show. But at a minute past 9, let's get a news update, and it's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Councillor Joy Beard is again stressing the need for Donegal County Council to develop an action plan to protect those living in crumbling homes or mobiles in the event of an orange or red weather warning, as well as a communication strategy to ensure people are aware of the plan in good time. It's an issue the Buncrana-based representative has raised on numerous occasions in her first year as an elected representative. In a past storm, a chimney of a house with defective blocks collapsed. Councillor Beard says last January, offers of emergency accommodation were only issued at 5 o'clock the evening before Storm Éowyn hit, and she says that was far too late.
I was very disappointed that it did take such a length of time. Not everyone has that support network, to be able to, relocate to family, close by. And I think the council, that's what I'm trying to tell them. They need to be proactive now and get a plan in place and get a, targeted even communication campaign ready to inform homeowners of a plan that is in place. But the first thing we need to do is to get that plan in place.
The conflict between Israel and Iran appears to be intensifying. Both sides launched more strikes overnight. The Iranians say they will not negotiate while under attack. Israeli Army Radio says 8 people have been killed in the country after multiple strikes by Iran overnight. Sky's Middle East correspondent Alistair Bunkle says one major problem at the moment is the fact that US President Donald Trump is giving mixed messages.
On the one hand, he's saying that there should be a ceasefire and the two sides should find a truce. And then he's also saying the two just need to be left to fight it out. And then there are also rumours that the Americans might even consider getting involved in the war as well.
The government is being urged to tackle barriers that are being faced by marginalised women and girls. The National Women's Council says it means addressing the childcare crisis, which is a key obstacle to women's full and equal participation. National Women's Council Director Orla O'Connor says the government must do more to promote equality.
The National Women's Council, representing our 200 members, is saying to the committee the things that the Irish government need to do in order to progress women's equality and women's rights. So the Women's Council will be talking about the childcare crisis and the fact that parents in Ireland pay amongst the highest costs of childcare across the EU.
Ishgairin say repairs to a burst water main may cause supply disruptions in Letterkenny and surrounding areas this morning. Work set to take place on that burst main until an estimated time of 1:20 this afternoon. And just to repeat the big sports news of the morning, the draw for the All-Ireland Football Preliminary Quarterfinals has taken place. Donegal will have home advantage next weekend. They take on the Leinster champions Louth. Down will take on Galway. Dublin welcome Cork to Croke Park. The final tie sees Kerry have home advantage against Cavan. Dates and throw-in times will be confirmed by the CCCC later today. And the weather forecast, a mix of cloud and sunny spells today. Some few showers this morning, but more sunshine developing as the afternoon and evening goes on. Top temperatures today 17 to 20 degrees Celsius in fresh southwest winds. They're the headlines. Back with news in full at 10 o'clock.
Switch to 3 and get the super smart, super fast iPhone 16 from as little as €0 upfront when you trade in. Switch at your local 3 store today. Subject to trade-in minimum acceptance criteria and annual price increase of CPI plus 3% on 3 select Freedom 5G plan. 24-month minimum term and direct debit apply. See 3.e for details.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning, and you're very welcome along to another week of the 9 till Noon Show. It is Monday, the 16th of June, 2025. How are you all keeping? I really do hope you're very well indeed, and I hope you had a good weekend. And we're here to keep you going throughout the course of this Monday morning. And over the next 3 hours, we've got a great mix of features on our region, talking to people from this part of the world. We're going to keep you up to date with all the very latest news, and we want your views, of course. 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number. The lines are open for you right now. 086 60 25,000. If you're listening from outside the Republic, of course, 003538 60 25,000. And if you want to give us a call, it's 07491 25,000, and your emails come in to us at comments at highlandradio.com. Just to, because, me and Lee just had a quick back and forth there as it relates to when Donegal will play Louth. The GAA's CCCC, they're meeting at lunchtime today, and they'll have the times and dates for the fixtures announced this evening. There's a lot of factors. It's not just what we want or what suits. It's about TV and who has what games and what time they throw in. So the 4 games: Donegal v Louth, Down v Galway, Dublin v Cork, Kerry v Cavan. It was funny at the weekend. You know, you're watching Armagh versus Galway, thinking, "Wow, okay, first half, this is the team to beat. They are something else." The next thing you know, Galway go out and produce an amazing second half. So they'll battle it out, and the format of the competition for this year, and it changes again next year, by the way, is they go in then to the semi-finals. The winners of those 4 games goes into the semi-finals proper, where they'll play either Tyrone, Monaghan, Armagh and Meath. So there's still some, there's a relatively decent pathways, quarters. There's some very decent pathways into the semis there too, isn't there? Right, okay, that's that. Brendan Devine is going to be joining us after 11 to break down the weekend's footballing action. I'll talk about that a little bit during the papers. If you have anything to say, by the way, at all in relation to football, we're across all topics here. It's not just the news. We love the bit of sport as well. So if you want to talk football as well, 086 60 25,000, let us know what your views are after the weekend's action. But let's start with the newspapers. The Derry People Donegal News. Shock new figures, as they're described, have revealed that Donegal County Council issued almost 1,000 fixed charge notices to motorists who had parked illegally in disabled parking bays over the most recent 2-year period. In 2023, the local authority issued 415 fixed charge notices for the offence of parking in a disabled parking bay without a valid disabled parking permit. And in 2024, the number of SCNs for the offence soared by around 25% to 518. Now, part of me thinks that this is part of a transition into maybe the penny actually dropping, because people were parking in these spaces without fear of being caught, I think, for years, and it was very, very frustrating. But maybe now that we're starting to see lots of people getting these really quite significant fines, maybe this is the beginning now, the peak where we start to see a change of attitudes. Maybe I'm being overly optimistic, but you would hope, because enforcement has been one of the greater frustrations on issues such as these. And 518 people done last year. They won't do it again. And maybe the message will get about that this is completely unacceptable. Well, the figures came to light following a question on the issue which was tabled by Councillor Thomas Sean Devine at the June meeting of Letterkenny Milford Municipal District Council. Speaking to the Donegal News, he said he was very alarmed by the number, and he criticised those motorists who showed disregard to disabled drivers by illegally occupying disabled parking spaces. The Derry News this morning. There were violent scenes in Derry as police clashed with youths on Friday night. Police moved in after youths set alight bonfire materials along the road at the entrance to Tully Alley. Police had been observing a small anti-immigration demonstration earlier in the evening. The PSNI confirmed that a police vehicle was damaged with the front window smashed. One arrest was made. A number of community workers and elected reps attended the scene in a bid to ease tensions, and tensions have been boiling over particularly in Northern Ireland in this last week. They did calm a little, but it remains to be seen where things go from here. But we have heard people from other countries saying they're moving out, probably moving to the Republic, but that they don't feel safe in the north any longer. The Irish Times now, Iran and Israel spent the weekend exchanging rockets, effectively rockets and drones, such as modern warfare. And Israel and Iran continued to exchange attacks throughout yesterday as international leaders called for a de-escalation, and the death toll climbed in both countries. At least 406 people have been killed in Iran and 654 wounded, including at least 197 civilians, according to Washington-based group Human Rights Activists. Israel said at least 13 people, including 3 children, had been killed there since Friday and 390 others wounded by launching its barrage of attacks in Iran. Beginning on Friday morning, Israel said it was acting to eliminate the risk of Iran developing nuclear weapons, which it perceives as an existential threat. So it's a very complicated. The scam calls are starting early this week. It's a complicated situation, isn't it? Because people have been very critical of Israel's actions in Gaza, of course. Iran are a country that's somewhat isolated in the Middle East at the moment, but they are working on the establishment of nuclear weapons, and they have said, listen, you know, if we take a notion, nowhere in the world is safe. So it's a tough situation. Obviously, Israel again are being seen as the aggressors, but Iran are a threat, and I suppose Israel are acting really as a proxy for America and others, it would seem. But anyway, it rumbles on. The G7 are meeting this week, and obviously it's going to be front and centre of the agenda. Interesting that there's new figures out, and I'm not sure. Obviously there are children raised with different financial backgrounds, and there are those less well off and those that are more well off. But would it surprise you that children in less well off homes are more than likely to have a smartphone? I hadn't thought about it, and I'm only just processing it. But anyway, it's in the Irish Independent today. More than half of Irish 8-year-olds from less advantaged areas are now owning a smartphone. It's twice the rate of those from wealthier backgrounds, according to new research. Now, I don't know what the logic, not the logic, but the process that would lead this to be the situation, but it is. The figures are taken from a CyberSafe Kids assessment of almost 5,000 children in 58 primary schools, both DESH and non-DESH. They also show that children from low-income backgrounds have a higher level of exposure to harm than their peers in better-off districts. According to the research, 53% of 8-year-olds attending DESH schools own a smartphone, compared with just 22% of children the same age in non-DESH schools. The figures also show that 93% of 8-year-olds from less advantaged areas have created a social media account, compared with 69% in middle classes, the described neighbourhoods. Almost a third of primary school pupils aged 8 to 12 in DESH schools have posted videos of themselves online. So that's 1 in 3 8 to 12-year-olds have posted a video of themselves online. Around 29% have experienced cyberbullying, while 39% have public accounts on social media, a far higher percentage than non-DESH school children. So just to recap that, effectively, 4 out of 10 8 to 12-year-olds in DESH schools have public accounts on social media. So that's, in other words, it's open to anyone to see, and the majority of them are posting videos of themselves. The study confirms previous government-funded research from the ESRI, which showed that children attending more socially disadvantaged schools are more likely to have phones than wealthier households. So, obviously, just looking at that from the raw data, the less money you have, you would have thought the less inclined you might be to have a mobile phone. But if you have any theory as to why, or any understanding as to why the rate of mobile phone ownership amongst 8-year-olds is far more higher in those that are attending DESH schools than those that aren't. And also, too, why would children attending DESH schools be more inclined to have public social media accounts, or indeed post videos or pictures of themselves publicly? certainly well worth digging into to try and find out, I think. Staying with education, and I remember it must be 3 or 4 years ago that I said on this show, and I wish I did take note of these things so I could pretend to sound clever. But I remember we were talking about AI, and it was the very early days of AI, and I said I really, really hope the Department of Education are taking AI seriously and understand the impact it's going to have on our education system. And this was even before the likes of ChatGPT was released, because it was inevitable, and here we are. Education Minister Helen McEntee has been warned by her own officials that the current tools designed to detect students cheating through artificial intelligence do not and will not work. There are increasing concerns of the impact of rapidly advancing AI on the integrity of Ireland's education system. Internal documents obtained by the Irish Daily Mail reveal that officials cautioned Miss McEntee that existing methods to catch students using generative AI, that's tools such as ChatGPT, are ineffective. The warning comes as the Department of Education grapples with how best to ensure fairness in the digital age. So that doesn't, as I say, surprise me at all. Another thing that doesn't surprise me is the latest eyeball assessment of Dublin. I don't go to Dublin very often. I don't know, once or twice a year. But the decline of Dublin as a city, you see it more clearly, I think, when you go in and out of it infrequently. And I remember the second last time I went down, it stunk. I mean, it really, really did smell. And it didn't feel terribly safe. And the most recent time I went down, it was even worse. It just looks like a city that needs a power wash or something. I don't know. And I'm not being sort of anti-Dublin. This is our capital, right? This is the first place visitors see often before they even get as far as our beautiful part of the world. So it's not having a go at Dublin because that, people might think that's a cheap shot, and I don't mean it like that. It's my genuine feeling, having gone into Dublin, it generally doesn't feel safe and it feels dirty. And Dublin's North Inner City is one of the dirtiest areas of the country when it comes to litter, and this is according to a new official survey. And Cork's North Side is not much better, as both are described as seriously littered in the latest survey by the group Irish Business Against Litter. But on the plus side, the study found that more towns around the country are cleaner than last year, and the number of areas deemed littered or worse is its lowest in 5 years. But as I say, I'm not surprised that Dublin's North Inner City is the worst litter black spot. On to the Irish Sun now, and when you look at the amount of remains of children, 800 babies and toddlers, the remains of them are to be exhumed over the next wee while. This is all connected to the mother and baby home horror. The remains of nearly 800 babies and toddlers will be exhumed at the notorious mother and baby home in Tuam from today. Excavation work will start this morning at the site of the former Bon Secours institution. It's the latest step in the ongoing effort to try to identify the remains of infants. Imagine they're not even known to identify the remains of infants at the home between 1925 and 1961. Test excavations took place in 2016 and 2017, and a mass burial site was found in a former sewage tank. Unbelievable stuff. And finally, the back of the mirror. Jim McGuinness is hit out at Donegal, having to travel to Roscommon to play Mayo, claiming it would only happen because it's us. Kieran Moore's post-hooter winning point for McGuinness' side meant that Mayo made their earliest championship exit in 7 years in dramatic fashion, when a draw would have been enough to see them into the last 12. I mean, after the hooter, the last kick of the game, unbelievable. But that defeat meant that they paid the price for losing their opening group game to Cavan, who finished third in Group 1. Mayo's loss was their first at Dr. Hyde Park in 24 years after 14 games unbeaten. They had a run there of 14 unbeaten games. But McGuinness insisted that the game should never have been fixed for the venue, especially considering the traffic. My word, people were having to leave at 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning to ensure they got there on time. But it's heartbreak for Mayo again. Cavan was a pint, and Donegal are through. Of course, they have home advantage in the prelims, and just in case you switched on, they're facing Louth. Down play Galway, Dublin play Cork, Kerry play Cavan. And it'll be interesting to see how all that goes. Brendan Devaney's going to join me after 11, and we will have a run through, I suppose, the draw and yesterday's games and what we can expect from Donegal and Tyrone and other teams that remain in that competition still. But we are now really in the business end. It's win or go home. So it's going to make all the games even extra exciting.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
I'm at Dublin Airport Terminal 1 doing a survey. Oh, here's someone. Excuse me, do you mind if I ask you a question? How far did you have to park from the airport? Oh, that far. Did you know that if you'd taken an expressway coach, it would have been super comfy and so easy to book, and it would have dropped you right here at the door? Oh, you didn't. Oh well, next time. Bye. If you're going to Dublin Airport, book online at expressway.ie and get right to the door. Don't go the car way, go expressway. Way better.
New store, new project. Your new B&Q and TradePoint Letterkenny is now open. Dreaming of a garden glow-up, fresh colour for your walls, or a new kitchen? Whatever you need for your next home improvement project, we're here to help at your new B&Q Letterkenny. Find us at Unit 4 Letterkenny Retail Park, Neil T. Blaney Road. We're open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday. You can do it when you B&Q it.
To childproof your home, get down on your hands and knees to see what your toddler sees. Go from room to room and look for dangers. Do the same outside. Visit mychild.ie for advice on pregnancy, baby and toddler health.
Fed up with unexpected car bills and just want trouble-free motoring? Then call in to Barry Brown Cars, your main Suzuki dealer, and place your 252 Suzuki order today. With an incredible 10-year warranty and 0% finance, what's not to love? Packed with features and renown for reliability, Suzuki's unbeatable offers are taking the car market by storm. So call in to Barry Brown Cars in Milford or Donegal Town to secure your 252 Suzuki today and drive away with peace of mind, thanks to that amazing 10-year warranty.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
Well, the time now is 22 minutes past 9, and there's been controversy from fashion designer Karen Millen. She recently said on a TV show that it was selfish of mothers to breastfeed their babies after 6 months. Her comments received backlash, as you can imagine, with people calling her rude and judgmental. She's since apologised, but what happens is though, when you kite fly like this and you throw your views out into the world, what it does do, it gives people confidence to come out and say, you know what, you're right. So even though she's apologised, there is a narrative out there, I suppose, that it's good to counter. Dakota Nick Meneman is Sinn Féin councillor, of course, and joins us now. Hi, Dakota.
Morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm good. You know, and it's tough enough, I suppose, you know, for women, you know, to fight for their place in society and their rights in society, you know, against men and institutions. It's probably really unfortunate, I suppose, then when you sort of get a knock from, you know, within the sisterhood, so to speak. And that's really what happened from Karen Millen and her comments. What's your reaction to them?
Yeah, definitely. So the first thing I would say is that she is, of course, entitled to her opinion, but it's not that. She specifically mentioned after 6 months there was no benefit, which just isn't true. There's no truth to that at all. Like, there's so much benefit from it. So it was really hard to hear. I had breastfed my daughter for about 13, 14 months. And, you know, there's such benefit to it. Like, you know, it reduces the risk of SIDS. There's less infections, and it has benefits for the woman too. And, you know, breastfeeding is one of the most natural things that a woman can do. And it's hard for a woman, you know, if they don't have any support around them, or if they don't have any family or friends that have breastfed before, because it's very daunting and it's just easier to pick up the formula. So whenever they see someone coming out saying there's no benefit after 6 months, it's just very discouraging for women.
Yeah, because, I mean, it just is completely unnecessary, isn't it? Because, you know, it's not just that you're saying, or it's not just that she was saying that, why bother? She described it as selfish and then talked of the impact it might have on that child in terms of maybe being too dependent, or that the mum was doing it for their own selfish reasons. It's not, there's no use in those comments at all. All they are is harmful and hurtful.
Yeah, exactly. And for someone to say it's selfish, it's the most selfless thing, because, well, for the first 6 months or so, you are completely tied to that baby. You can barely put the baby down because they do a thing called cluster feeding, so it's to regulate your supply. So they're just constantly feeding. And then, you're the only one that can get up during the middle of the night to feed them. So, to say it's selfish, it's definitely not. And it's an absolutely ridiculous comment, because to say then that it's caused an addiction, it's ridiculous to come out with that. This is what mothers were made to do, essentially. They were to feed their young, and it's just so natural, and it's completely safe. And it's you're providing everything you need for the child, but for someone to come out with comments like that, it's very hard to listen to.
Yeah, and I think it's an area that people need to be sensitive in how they talk as well, because there's an awful lot of pressure on mums at times, and not much support often to breastfeed. And for some mums, it's just not something that they can do for various different reasons. And I know there are people too that have tried it and will be listening, and don't want to be guilted for not being fit to do it. And we're certainly not doing that, but I just think this entire space needs to be one where it's sensitive and, it puts mum and baby first.
Yeah, definitely. So the main thing, obviously, is that the baby's fed, regardless of how it's fed. Fed is best. But it is very hard starting out if you're breastfeeding. I've had a lot of people tell me, I had plans to breastfeed, but then the first time I done it, it didn't go well, so we just didn't bother. Then, once you have the support in place, it's a lot easier. I was very fortunate that my mother-in-law, she was a member of La Leche League. So
okay, that was handy. Yeah, all right.
That was very handy. Yeah. So that was my main, that was the reason I kind of did breastfeed, was listening to her, because none of my family had done it. And, I had a lot of people around me saying, would you not just give her a bottle, because especially if she wasn't sleeping at night, and, everybody blamed the breastfeeding, but it had nothing to do with that. So there's a lot of stuff that, misconceptions that come up with it as well, that, a breastfed baby will not sleep, whereas I know breastfed babies that do sleep and, they get on grand. But there is a lot of support out there. There is lactation consultants in the hospital, and I think it comes down to midwives as well a bit. I know when I was in the hospital, I had to stay in for about a week, but there was one midwife in particular, she was very good, at tell me how the different positions worked, because, it's not just one way to feed the baby, you can hold the baby different ways. And, some of the other midwives didn't really have that experience, because this midwife had breastfed herself. So that definitely makes an impact too. And our rates are just so low in Ireland as well.
Yeah.
Compared to
other
countries.
But your situation, I think, is quite typical, Dakota, because things are improving somewhat here in the Northwest. But one of the issues was it skipped a couple of generations, and the aunties and mums and older women in younger women's lives, they didn't have the breastfeeding experience, and we're catching up now, but you're the next generation that will be able to sort of offer support and assistance to a generation following on. But we had that kind of a generational gap that left us in this position of catch up.
Yeah, definitely. So that's definitely what I noticed in my own situation, was that I had nobody around me in my immediate family, that had done it. It was just kind of considered the norm, that you would give formula. It wasn't really something that considered. So I was very grateful, because it was one of the best things I'd done. Definitely, without a doubt. And it's something I would definitely do again if I had another child.
Yeah. And you mentioned a little earlier on, obviously, in the first instance, we talk about what the benefits are for the baby, but you referenced there, there are if a woman can and it suits their situation, there are benefits for her as well.
Yeah. So it'll reduce your risk of breast and ovarian cancer, and I think there's other things too, like diabetes. But it's
also
amazing.
too apparently it helps tighten the muscles as well. I don't know how that
Right.
quite works, but apparently it.
Well, I know.
does.
Yeah, whenever you breastfeed after giving birth, it helps everything contract to swell or to go back down in your stomach.
I think it's great, actually, not being patronising, and it's not a political comment at all, Dakota, but someone like yourself who people can relate to, elected into a position and to be able to speak as you are to other young girls, women, you know what I mean, is really good. And that's why it's important, I think, that our public reps are as diverse as possible. Stay there and listen to what Emma Walsh has to say. Emma, you're a first-time mom. It's tough in many different ways, isn't it, Emma? But I think the whole, looking after yourself as you recover, but feeding and all that kind of stuff, there's a lot going on after a baby's born and even beforehand.
Yes, morning Greg and morning Dakota. Just to firstly say I completely agree with everything Dakota's just said. And it's really positive to hear such a positive conversation around breastfeeding, despite the controversy last week with Karen Millen and her, quite frankly, irrelevant comments and view as a woman who, breastfeeding is now irrelevant to her in her stage of life, to be honest. So I don't see why she should be mum shaming and having that conversation around breastfeeding. But yeah, as a first time mum, it's an incredibly difficult, vulnerable position to find yourself in. I find myself in quite a more unique situation in that my son had been born at 29 weeks because I had severe preeclampsia and HELLP syndrome. So he spent 2 months in the neonatal intensive care unit. So I was completely separated from my son. The challenge was I wanted to breastfeed, obviously couldn't breastfeed when he was hooked up to all the machines and monitors and that, but so I had 2 months of exclusive pumping to try and regulate and mimic the breastfeeding journey, I suppose, which again, it was tough. It was very challenging, and I would completely say it was the opposite of selfish. In fact, it was selfless, because you're completely giving up your body. You just give up, you're sharing your body, growing a baby, and then you're sharing your body again, feeding the baby. So there's nothing more selfless that you can do, in my opinion. So yeah, I was really angry at hearing Karen's comments last week.
Yeah, I think the sacrifices that you made well, firstly, to give you, I'm sure as we had with ours, who ended up in baby ICU, the milk was seen by the medical professionals as just as in, even if it's a bottle, you know what I mean? Yeah. But you're also trying to sort of, maintain the situation that you can continue breastfeeding once the child's out of ICU. So that's a big sacrifice whilst you're trying to recover yourself and worrying and waiting for updates, and then to having to stay in this routine and just do as much as you can for your baby. I mean, as you say, is there anything less selfish? I don't think so. Or anything less selfish than that?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's, when you're in that scenario, I suppose my journey is a bit different because I did have that intensive care element to it. So I felt a lot more, I guess, overprotective, or I felt like I needed to be doing a lot more, or really pushing myself to the limit to do as much as what I can to give my son the best start. Because yeah, as you rightly said, the nursing staff and the doctors, they always refer to the breast milk as liquid gold because it's full of nutrients and benefits to the baby. Obviously, as Dakota rightly pointed out, there is the benefits as well to the mother. And yeah, but it's just a shame that we have such low rates of breastfeeding in this part of the world, it's such a shame because it's the most natural thing you can do, as difficult as it is. But again, what we need is the right support. We need to have the right support in place, maybe before delivery or before, we talk about birth plans. and on discharge from hospitals. I think the support needs to be in place, and the signposts as
there
the,
can be a wee bit
the
of
lead
in terms. I mean, it depends where you are, but there can be a bit of a cliff edge of support. You know, in terms of public health nurse visits and all that type of stuff. You know, as I say, you hear in some areas where they're just simply not available, and that is the time where you just maybe need a little bit of reassurance. You just need to be. Maybe a little bit of advice. I just think it's an area, especially too with the onset of postnatal depression, for an example. There is this presumption that it's immediate after birth, but it can come much later than that. It's just I think it's just an area that we need to make sure is well resourced, and that mums are as well supported as possibly that we possibly can support them, and they're obviously then their children as well at the same time.
Absolutely, because it is challenging physically and later down the line mentally for moms, particularly first time moms, because you're almost you can only prepare so much, I think, for the birthing experience and for the new mom experience. And what I've learned is everything that I read in the books, it kind of goes out the window, because then you're really in survival mode, which is it's a brand new experience that you just cannot prepare yourself for, is being a new mom and trying to feed and nurture this new baby. I think the support, it's where it's lacking. I think then if new moms can either, how can they find that support? Obviously then you go online, and it's just finding the reputable sources, I suppose, that they can reach out to. So as Dakota mentioned, La Leche League, fantastic resource, website full of great advice and help, and I think there's a forum on there that you can ask questions, and whether that's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when you're feeding and having a hit the wall moment where you're thinking this is going wrong, I need immediate support. Yes. there are resources there, and I think it's about when you want to throw in the towel. I think that's where you need to say, okay, I need that extra bit of support. And I think listening to some woman named Karen Millen and her opinions, it's just not helpful for anyone.
I think the wider thing here for me is that it's breastfeeding today. What will it be tomorrow? Look, we want to be entertained when we watch TV, right? And we're not soft. We can take something that doesn't necessarily agree with us and process it. But there is a little bit of a problem with, I think, particularly sort of mid-afternoon TV shows and some radio shows 100%. Where it's actually just to say something controversial for the sake of saying something controversial. You'll see it on The View and other types of shows. And I think, as I say, we can all process stuff and have a debate. But I think in a race to try and get the phone lines hopping, they have to show a little bit more responsibility, I think, especially two women sitting there having the conversation.
Absolutely, because it's having an opinion is one thing, which everyone is entitled to. And my issue was it's the misinformation that she was projecting, and I think she was really kind of projecting her experience, which sounded quite negative when she did come out in her apology then. And that's fine, having that experience. But
relate that, because that's real. Relate that and say how you got support or where the support is lacking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think just having that major platform as national TV, just to be having those opinions, is quite dangerous. And again, that's sort of like, you've got non-trained, in quotes, experts on things like Instagram. I think you're having a platform to potentially share really dangerous information. Mm-hmm. I think particularly for new moms and expectant moms, it's about finding that right support that has got the expert information to back it up. Going to your IBLC qualified certified lactation consultant, midwives, making sure that you're speaking to the right accredited people, I suppose, that you're not just listening to someone's non-expert advice.
Indeed. All right, brilliant, Emma. Thanks so much. I think it's good to have that conversation out there again, and I think yours, Dakota's experiences are real. That you have done it, but it's not easy, but you can do it, and there are supports there. So look, if anything came from it, and we have these conversations, I think about 2 or 3 times a year. to talk about breastfeeding and the supports that are there or where they're lacking. It's really important. So Dakota, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Greg.
And best wishes to all the family. And Emma, thank you so much as well. Lovely to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Greg.
Bye-bye. Take care. That's Councillor Dakota McMenamin and also Emma Walsh there. Any views? 08660 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number. Or give us a call on 07491 25,000. And you're already texting us in. Great to get the interaction going so early in the week. Thanks, but no thanks on YouTube. Simply says breast is best. It's great for bonding with your baby, indeed. And then for someone in a position of sort of, prominence to sort of say, well, you're being selfish if you continue that bond after 6 months and it could have some sort of a detrimental impact on the child. That's not good. That's not helpful. It doesn't help at all.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
At Eclipse Cinemas Bundoran and Lifford Strabane, the stars shine brighter. This isn't just a trip to the movies, it's a VIP experience. Sit back in luxury as your favourite pizza,
yummy,
hot food and a cold drink are delivered right to your seat in any studio. But for the ultimate treat, step into the Director's Lounge, our most popular destination. Enjoy the film, enjoy the food and savour the experience. Only at Eclipse Cinemas Bundoran and Lifford Strabane.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Thinking of changing your floors? Why not see what Florid Letterkenny has to offer? Florid have a large selection of solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring together with a fantastic choice of parquet, herringbone flooring, all at incredible value. Don't delay. Call Florid today on 087 161 7008.
Worldwide travel made easy from Donegal Airport. Twice daily Aer Lingus flights via Dublin connect you to Aer Lingus and Qatar's global network. Enjoy a smooth journey. Book now at aerlingus.com and start your next adventure from Donegal Airport. If you're getting married in 2025, BizPrint can take care of all your printing needs. Not just invitations, but save the date cards, order of service booklets, table plans, and so much more. See what's available at weddinginvites.ie or call BizPrint on 9177955.
Your new 252 could be just around the corner thanks to a great scrappage deal available right now at Divers Hyundai in Letterkenny, with up to €3,500 for your trade-in on selected models. Some terms and conditions apply, but hurry, this offer only lasts until June the 30th at Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. Call 9122 600 or see diversgarage.ie. A new 252 with up to €3,500 available for scrappage. For details, contact Divers today.
Just to remind you of how you get involved in the conversation here, 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. A caller says the loading bays in Letterkenny Main Street need looking after too, but the traffic wardens won't listen to delivery drivers about this. They are keen to get tickets thrown at delivery drivers, but won't deal with people parking in loading bays and leaving nowhere else for the delivery vans. That's quite a, I suppose, specific issue if you're involved in the delivery of goods, etc. Smartphone tops dumb parents. I suppose they might at least learn to spell and do grammar. Well, that's terribly judgmental. I'm not sure that's what it's down to, but thank you. Donegal rally next weekend, and now the Donegal game. Will Donegal be able to handle all this traffic and people? No, but you could argue it's not a terrible complaint either, is it? That, you know, we're going to be buzzing, bustling. We'll have people up visiting and out and about. But you are quite right. It is a bit of a nightmare for people probably travelling to Ballabafay, because obviously the rally's based in Letterkenny and northwards, and Ballabafay, if the game in fact is in McCool Park, is somewhat removed from that. But I didn't think about that. That's going to be big. Greg, I was recently at Rossnowla and Tullen beaches and was shocked to find the condition of, you guessed it, the public toilets. They need power hosed before anyone could enter them. Why do we allow this? You'd never get this lack of hygiene in Spain. I don't know. The toilets, the public toilets, we need a plan. Especially in this digital age where people take pictures and comment all the time. We need a plan. Right, okay, so the proposed active travel plan scheme for Letterkenny. The scheme will run along a 1 kilometre stretch of circular road beginning at the hospital roundabout in Letterkenny and extending westwards to the Glencar Road junction. The scheme will connect the High Road and Kilmacrennan Road active travel schemes to the east and the College Road scheme to the west. Ultimately, the development strives to improve connectivity for pedestrians and cyclists to a number of key amenities in Letterkenny. Circular Road is bound by schools, residential areas, recreational and commercial facilities and healthcare institutions, all of which, they say, provide vital services to communities, improved accessibility for vulnerable road users, therefore a key objective. Now, Ewan is a resident of the Schlieve Schnacht Road in Letterkenny. It's all for you, Ewan. They're doing this all for you to make your life easier and safer. What's your views of these plans? Because I think you came to them a little later than most. You missed some of the public conversation on them.
I missed it all, Greg. But before I start, I suppose I should say I left school nearly 50 years ago, so there are not many big words in my head. I'm just plain Joe. So a resident come to me last Wednesday or Thursday and asked me what did I think about this. And I said, what are you talking about? And she said that all the right turns going into from the roundabout at the hospital to Glencar, you're not going to be able to turn right anymore. I says, and when did this come into play? Well, seemingly it's passed a long time ago. So I says, well, I never heard tell that, sure. You would think the council would supply us with a bit of paperwork through the door to let us know that there's something happening. There are 100 houses on here where I live, and as far as I know, nobody got a piece of paper to say that this thing was happening. And I was talking to a few business people in the Glencar shopping centre on Thursday or Friday last week about it, when I heard about it. And they said they never heard tell of it either. To me, Greg, it's crazy because my brother actually drives a bus onto this estate to lift children. And at the minute, they can't turn a bus at the roundabout at Glencar. They'd have to go to Kelly Lassinen to try and Kelly Lassinen to try and get turned, which is way up the top of Glencar, up to the new pub. It doesn't make sense, Greg. And are you still there?
No, I'm listening. The carriageway, they say the carriageway will be retained on Circular Road west of Long Lane, east of Long Lane. It'll be reduced from 9 metres to 6.5 metres. So that'll be 3.25 metres for each lane. And this will be achieved by removing central areas dedicated to right-hand turns and shifting the curb lines. So in terms of access in and out, particularly into your estate, it's really going to be based on drivers letting you out. So you could have 5 cars trying to get out to work from your estate, maybe even 10. And there's no real access for them out onto the road unless... they're allowed out, and the traffic may be building at that point even more than it is now. And then if you're trying a turn in, you're going to have to go up and go round a roundabout and come back down the way. It's going to get pretty tasty at the entrance and exits to these estates and businesses on that road.
Well, you see, at the minute, Greg, it's actually, when the schools are all on, right, and I can see it in the morning here, it starts here in the morning from about 8 o'clock to shortly after 9. And it's bumper to bumper passing where I actually come out where my house is here. See, I'm actually on Errigal Road, just the second house in behind Simpson's shop here. That's the way into Schlieve Schnacht. For me, when I go out, if they get away with what they're chatting about, they say that it's passed, but I think they shouldn't be allowed to just go ahead and do something without telling the rest of us. We should be informed on it.
Yeah,
They might
I
say
think
that it
it's
was written
how
on
you're.
paper, but
I know what you're saying. I think it's how you're informed. So, the council
Yeah.
have used their social media. They've used the likes of Highland and local newspapers, etc. You believe there should have been a leaflet drop for affected residents. Is that what you're saying?
I will. Yeah, because I'll tell you, I listen to Highland Radio nearly 7 days a week. But according to the discussions that were supposed to be on a couple of weeks ago, my schoolmate was buried that particular morning, and I happened to be at the funeral that day. And that was the very day, seemingly, there was a discussion on this.
All right, let's bring Mary in. Mary, you're a resident of the Errigal Road, Schliefsnacht area. What's your take on these proposed developments?
Yeah, I just couldn't believe it, Greg, when I became aware of it. And I only became aware of it a couple of weeks ago, actually, in a newspaper article where Kieran Brogan was pictured in the down at Simpsons and saying basically that there's no right turn. And panic bells then started to ring with me, and I've been talking to people, and people were not aware. Even the Residents Association hadn't been informed. If there was a leaflet drop, at least we would get together, obviously, and have meetings and submissions. But as Ewan said, I mean, coming out at Errigal Road, you have. My family basically live in the Glencar area, and now they would have to turn left, go down to the hospital roundabout and come up that way. And for me, or residents, as Ewan says, over 100 houses in the estate, in order who actually be coming up Devilay Road, coming up home, wherever, you actually have to pass your turn off to go up to the roundabout, come down, and most likely join a tailback because the traffic is horrendous.
Yeah, it is.
And,
when you think of that the additional movement of that traffic, indeed. Well, both of you are residents, and you mentioned business. John Collins, director of Simpson's Supermarket in Glencar, and the amount. I think people don't necessarily understand, Joe, with a successful business like yours and other businesses there, the amount of footfall in inverted commas or vehicle traffic accessing on a daily basis, Joe.
Yeah, well, we would have a substantial footfall. We'd have over 40,000 customers coming through the door every month. And we just think that this, while we did have meetings with the council did come to us, and they really came to us to more or less tell us, look, this is going to go ahead. They came to assure us that it would work, but we're not convinced that it'll work, for the simple reason that there's going to be two cycle lanes, one up, one down, on one side of the road. The right turn box into our own supermarket is going to be removed, and we just think it's going to be a risk to cyclists and to customers.
So if I'm driving up past the hospital, Joe, how do I get into your business under the new proposals?
When you're driving up, there's a right turning box where you can turn in without blocking the other traffic that's coming up.
Yeah, but when that's gone, how do I get in?
Well, you're just going to block the traffic that's already there, that's behind you, until you get turned.
Yeah.
And you've also, as you know, you've the traffic, the cars coming down the hill, and you've also the cyclists coming down the hill. Now, they say they're going to put a yellow box, but I can't see how cyclists coming down the hill will be able to manage that yellow box. You know, I think just there's also the carriageway is going to be narrower, so there's also the issue of heavy goods vehicles trying to turn in and heavy goods vehicles meeting each other. So we don't think it's viable, but they've basically told us this is going to go ahead.
Yeah, no, and I know you get big vehicles going in there. Their turning space requires they're certainly going to have to use both lanes because it's going to be much narrower. And factor into that too a potential town bus going up and down every couple of hours or a couple of times of hours with no pull in place to let passengers off or on.
Well, like there's a natural bus stop outside close to our entrance at the minute, but that bus, it's not a large bus. He actually parks in the car park as opposed to parking on the road. He pulls into the car park and lets people off there, and people can get on there.
Okay, well, one of our elected reps, when I say our, I mean yours, elected reps is Councillor Jerry McMonigal, and you're in favour of this, Jerry, and from everything I'm hearing, because I'm listening to those that are affected by it, I'm not, it makes very, very little sense and seems to be only pushing us towards snarling up the traffic whilst there are cycle lanes that may or may not be used.
Good morning, Greg, and good morning to your listeners. Yeah, look, this primarily is a road safety works, and it's about getting people to be able to get about the town in a safer way. The Circle Road has its problems with traffic at the minute. It is at times a very fast road and very dangerous for pedestrians and indeed cyclists. The Circle Road is one of 11 active travel programs that we have been discussing in council for this last 3 years. There's been a number of public consultations. It's been well aired out there. People had ample time to make their concerns known. Look, I live in the area. I know what
so
the Circle Road's
why are you in favour of it?
Well, like I say, I think it's going to make it safer. I think we have to get away from the dependence on cars. I think there's an onus on us as a local council to ensure the safety of everyone and the accessibility of everyone.
I don't mean it's smart, but I mean, do you think you're going to cycle to a council meeting now?
Well, I've cycled a fair bit.
No, I'm really not. I'm genuinely not being smart, Jerry. But I mean, do you think now, because obviously you live in that area, if there's a meeting down at the council offices, can you see yourself cycling up and down now?
Well, after these active travel programs are put in place and routes, I will have that choice. I currently don't have that choice because I think it's unsafe. As someone who's cycled for many years.
What year does he think that's going to come in?
Well, it's going to happen pretty quickly. No, that'll all happen very quickly, Union. If that is Union, that's going to happen pretty quickly.
It took them 2 years to do from the Dry Arch to the station, the roundabout there.
Well, listen. There's an awful lot of interest in this story, but I'm right up against it with the news. Joe, I might come back to you after 10 if you're available. Mary and Union, thank you very much indeed.
That's okay.
We'll speak to you off air if that's okay, Jerry, to see if you might be able to come back with us after 10. But if you've a meeting or something, we fully understand that too. But Caroline will be in touch with you. That just sort of accelerated in terms of interest. We'll be back after the news and the obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
GiveBlood.ie know we can count on you, our community of blood donors, to be there for others in their hour of need. Blood donors from Buncrana should attend the clinic in the Inishowen Gateway Hotel on Monday 16th and Tuesday 17th of June, and donors from Carndonna should attend the clinic in the Carndonna Community School on Wednesday 18th and Thursday 19th. Making an appointment is recommended, so call 1-800-731-137 or visit our website to book your time. New donors are vital. Visit giveblood.ie to check eligibility and clinic details, because we count on you.
Looking for a career in Donegal with real purpose and growth potential? Tata Consultancy Services, proud winner of Workplace of the Year, is hiring customer service professionals. Be part of a passionate, innovative team with great opportunities to grow your tech career right here in Donegal. Apply today at tcscareers.ie. That's tcscareers.ie.
Indulge yourself with friends or a loved one at the Spa at Orchids at the Holyrood Hotel in Bundoran. A midweek or weekend spa break is the perfect way to escape from life for a while. Take a leisurely walk along the Atlantic coast. Enjoy a dip in our private pool, a plunge in our Canadian hot tub, and treatments of your choice before dining in one of the Holyrood Hotel's acclaimed restaurants. The Spa at Orchids. Book now at holyroodhotel.com.
Print Supplies and Frosses delivers managed print solutions that save you time and money. With remote servicing and local support, we take the hassle out of printers and photocopiers. Stay efficient, stay supplied. Email sales@printsupplies.ie today. Print smart, save money, trust local.
We're serving up summer at Dunn Stores and it's barbecue season. Mix and match 3 for €10 across a fantastic range of meat and fish. Try something vibrant like succulent king prawns. Or enjoy Board Bia quality assured meats like piri piri chicken wings or new hot honey pork belly slices and many more. Any 3 for just €10. Plus, save at the till with a 10 off 50 grocery voucher. Dunn Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next grocery shop of €50 or more.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find all your summer essentials from fashion and accessories to beauty and homeware at McElhenney's. Explore more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. Councillor Joy Beard is again stressing the need for Donegal County Council to develop an action plan to protect those living in crumbling homes or mobile homes in the event of an orange or red weather warning, as well as a communications strategy so people are aware of those plans in good time. It's an issue the Buncrana-based 100% representative has raised on numerous occasions over the course of her first year as an elected representative. In a past storm, the chimney of a house with defective blocks collapsed. Councillor Beard says in January, offers of emergency accommodation were only issued at 5 o'clock on the evening before Storm Éowyn hit. And she says for many people, that was far too late.
I was very disappointed that it did take such a length of time. Not everyone has that support network, to be able to relocate to family, close by. And I think the council, that's what I'm trying to tell them. They need to be proactive now and get a plan in place and get a, targeted even communication campaign ready to inform homeowners of a plan that is in place. But the first thing we need to do is to get that plan in place.
The conflict between Israel and Iran appears to be intensifying, with both sides launching more strikes overnight. The Iranians say they will not negotiate while under attack. Israeli Army Radio says 8 people have been killed in the country after multiple strikes overnight by Iran. Sky's Middle East correspondent Alistair Bunkle says that there are mixed messages coming from the US President, Donald Trump.
On the one hand, he's saying that there should be a ceasefire and the two sides should find a truce. And then he's also saying the two just need to be left to fight it out. And then there are also rumours that the Americans might even consider getting involved in the war as well.
Taoiseach Simon Harris will attend an emergency meeting of EU Foreign Affairs Ministers tomorrow. The virtual meeting has been called to discuss what steps Europe can now take in light of the escalating tensions between Israel and Iran. There's grave concern in EU capitals amid what's seen as a dramatic rise in violence in the Middle East. Letterkenny could soon be one of Ireland's 10 tidiest towns and villages once again, according to the head of Irish Business Against Litter. The town is ranked 13th out of 40 towns surveyed by IBAL's latest study. It's deemed to be clean to European norms. IBAL says the country is cleaning up its act, with many towns across Ireland cleaner than last year. Chair Conor Horgan says in Letterkenny's case, one spot in particular is dragging it down.
There was one seriously littered site. That was the recycle facility at Aura Leisure Centre. The bins were freshly presented, but there was litter at the shrubbery, and much of it seemed long-lie litter, which indicated a lack of thorough cleaning for quite some time. So let's hope that Donegal County Council act on this one particular bad site. That of itself would probably see Letterkenny within the top 10.
Repairs to a burst water main may cause supply disruptions to Letterkenny and surrounding areas today. The works are set to take place until 1:20 this afternoon. Work to prepare for the first ever exhumation of a mass grave in Ireland is getting underway in County Galway this morning. It follows an 11-year campaign to recover the remains of almost 800 infants buried on the site of a former mother and baby home in Tuam. Preliminary work is starting to prepare the site for a full dig. The full dig will begin on July 14th. Alison O'Reilly from the Irish Examiner was involved in breaking the original story back in 2014. She says this has been a long time coming.
For some strange reason, which I'll never understand, we had to have legislation to open up a mass grave here. So the families are waiting. It's been such a tough road for them. And today, the forensic team will go in and they will seal off the area in the middle of the Dublin Road housing estate. And there will be no public access to what we know as the Memorial Garden in Tuam for at least 24 months.
And finally, with some sport, the draw for the All-Ireland football preliminary quarter-finals took place this morning. It's produced some interesting ties. Donegal will have home advantage against Leinster champions Louth. The game will be played in the county next weekend. Meanwhile, Down will take on Galway, with Dublin welcoming Cork to Croke Park. The final tie sees Kerry with home advantage against Cavan. The dates and throw-in times are set to be confirmed later today. Well, the forecast, a mix of cloud and some sunny spells today. A small chance of some showers this morning. More sunshine developing as the day goes on into the afternoon and evening. Top temperatures today 17 to 20 degrees Celsius in fresh southwest winds. Tonight, scattered outbreaks of rain and drizzle will push in from the Atlantic. It'll stay mild, though, with lowest overnight temperatures 11 to 14. Moderate southwest winds. Tomorrow, Tuesday, patchy rain and drizzle will clear southeastwards quickly during the morning. Dry and brighter weather will extend from the northwest. And the rest of tomorrow will be dry and bright with spells of warm sunshine. Top temperatures on Tuesday 16 to 21. Again, some moderate southwest to west winds. And that's Highland Radio News. Check all the latest news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning. The obituary notices for this Monday morning, the 16th of June. The death has taken place of Johnny McCafferty Sr., the Lagoon, Termon. Johnny's remains will repose at his late residence in Drumbrick, Termon, today and tomorrow from 12 noon until 10 p.m. Funeral Mass on Wednesday at 12 noon in St Columba's Church, Termon, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice. The death has occurred of Kathleen McClay, Bunamain, Bridgend. Kathleen's remains will repose at her home from 11 o'clock this morning. Family time, please, from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. Removal from there on Wednesday afternoon at 1:15, going to St Peter's Church of Ireland, 60 Coolmore Road, Londonderry, for funeral service at 2 o'clock, followed by interment in St Mary's Church of Ireland Graveyard, Fawn. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Buncrana Community Hospital Patients Comfort Fund, care of any family member, or Sean Murphy, Funeral Director. The death has occurred of Breed McClune, Mass, Glenties. Removal this morning to St Conal's Church, Glenties, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with interment afterwards in the local cemetery. The funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Community Hospital, care of James McGuinness, Funeral Director. And the death has occurred of Eddie Doherty, Boss, 18 Roadside, Buncrana. Eddie's remains are reposing at his home. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 10:15, going to St Mary's Church, Cockhill, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by interment in the adjoining graveyard. The Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time, please, from 10 o'clock tonight and before the funeral tomorrow. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member, or Sean Murphy, Funeral Director. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
I was in pain with my right hip, going to different countries on a flight. With the pain I was in, wasn't really an option. I googled hospitals in Belfast and Kingsbridge came up.
Republic of Ireland residents can get rapid access to cross-border surgeries at Kingsbridge private hospitals in Belfast and Derry, with medical costs reimbursed by the HSE. Find out more at kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com/cross-border. Kingsbridge, your fast track to 5-star care. Terms and conditions apply. GP referral required.
There's bingo every Monday night at Halfway House Burnfoot. Doors open at 7:30 with eyes down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. The snowball is now €2,250 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House Bingo Burnfoot tonight at 8:30.
Ready for sunshine? Fly EasyJet from Belfast International Airport to a range of holiday destinations including Tenerife, Amsterdam, the Algarve, Barcelona and many more, which you can find in Belfast International Airport's summer schedule. Don't miss out, book today with EasyJet. Find your destination inspiration.
Is your couch older than your Spotify playlist? Is your dining table wobblier than your uncle at a wedding? If so, it's time for an upgrade at Grove Furnishings, Kiltoy Road, Letterkenny, the largest furniture store in the Northwest. From stylish sofas to elegant beds, from floor covering to occasional pieces, we've got you covered. And we offer free delivery within 80 kilometres. Grove Furnishings. Seriously good furniture.
Hi guys, David James here, and we're asking you to push back the kitchen table, dust off your dancing shoes, and join us for our Jive for June campaign, all in aid of the Donegal Hospice. Tune in to the Jive Time show from 2:30 p.m. for your daily Jive. Video your Jive and send it to the Donegal Hospice at gmail.com, and they will post it on their socials, and we will also be posting your Jives on our social media channels too. To register and donate, log on to donegalhospice.ie or contact Isabel on 912565 or 087 238 9607 for a sponsorship form.
All right, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. We're into the second hour and we went right up against the clock in the first hour talking about the active travel plans for Letterkenny. That's a conversation we'll return to in this hour. A caller says, was there a public meeting called to discuss this issue with the stakeholder, i.e. residents and businesses people? When did it take place? If not, you think it should be before they start changing things. Everything to do with the public consultation process was followed. We discussed it a number of times on this show, but not everyone listens to this show. There was advertisements in newspapers. The plans were available, as far as I recall, to be viewed in the offices. The stuff that normally happens now, whether that system needs to be changed or not, I don't know. But it's this. I was fully aware of this from the whole process. So we've been talking about it. We've publicised it, and there's been no sort of sneaking this in under the table. Let's just be really clear about that. Now, if the system is such that maybe those residents in areas that are affected, they should receive leaflets or knocks on the door, maybe that should happen, but that's just not the system. The usual planning system and public consultation system was employed for this process, as it has been on every other process as well. A caller says they should widen the circular road to incorporate a full turning lane for the length of the road. That would keep traffic flowing and remove the ramps. Well, it's not about keeping traffic flowing. You narrow the road to slow the traffic down. This is about having spaces for people to walk and cycle. So it's not about trying to make life easier for motorists per se. A caller says, I don't live in Letterkenny, but I'm a business owner, but I do feel the councillors are not respecting the ratepayers. We're employing people, creating businesses, yet at every turn we're subjected to this nonsense. Surely a survey of opinion would have happened in the area before it got to this stage, but that survey is the public consultation. What I thought was interesting in that process, it was passed by a vote, and maybe this is just the way it should be. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I just found it interesting that councillors from, Inver, Ballybofey, Malinhead were voting on this, on a change in traffic that's going to affect a particular area of Letterkenny. Maybe that's the way it should be, but I don't know. There's just I just thought that was just an interesting element to this. It is the way it's done, but you could want to stick it to Letterkenny too. A caller says the council should be sorting out houses before messing about with the roads. There's an active travel fund that the council have access to. It can't be repurposed to fix houses. So I get where you're coming from, but this is the age-old, not doing this doesn't fix houses. The two either go at the same time or not at the same time. Active travel is being pushed in as an EU initiative, purportedly as a green initiative, which allows hobby cyclists to get around trees and hedgerows and wildlife for areas are being systematically destroyed across the country to add this insane initiative, which is destroying our environment. Classic example of greenwashing, believes the listener. Some of the local councillors pushing for these cycle lanes must think with global warnings, we're all going to get on bikes to cycle from A to B with sunny days, 365 days a year. Haven't seen any councillors on a bike to date, just because funds are available doesn't make it right to introduce this. As I say, that and so much more to come in terms of conversation and topics after we take a break. The bingo numbers follow this really short ad.
You never know when barbecue weather will arrive or leave. But with Aldi's 100% Irish Board Bia quality assured barbecue range, you can be ready at a moment's notice. Like lean beef burgers, basted pork loin chops, and marinated chicken fillet kebabs. All for only $2.99 per pack. So go on, get summer started. Good food, good mood from Aldi, while stocks last.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday the 16th of June. You're playing on the green sheet for the daily prize of €1,600. The reference number is S1. It's game number 25. The numbers are 9, 38, 25, 14, 78, 60, 51, 7, 48, and finally 85. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Transform your living room with a luxurious, bespoke feature wall from Spratt Fireplaces, Newmills, Letterkenny. Our complete installations include built-in storage, electric fires, floating shelves, and stunning finishes in stone, porcelain, or marble. Each feature wall is designed and built in-house by our expert carpentry and stone masonry teams. No fuss, just flawless feature walls. Call 074 91 24144 or visit spratfireplaces.ie. Spratt Fireplaces, experts in heating, design, and detail.
Experiencing bladder issues? The integrated specialist continence care team of nurses and physiotherapists provide personalised, compassionate support to help you manage your urinary continence with confidence and care. Talk to your GP today about a referral.
Beat your personal best with top brand premium running footwear from Michael Murphy Sports. Check out the latest arrivals from Asics, New Balance, Brooks, Adidas and Under Armour in a range of structured neutral styles, with free next day delivery on orders over €85. Find your perfect pair for peak performance with michaelmurphysports.ie.
For all your training needs, Northwest Forestry Services Training Department Ballybuffet offer a wide range of courses from training bodies such as NPTC City and Guilds, QQI, LADRA and ABA International. Courses include all land-based services such as chainsaw, tree climbing and rescue, pesticides, working in heights and ATV training. Other courses offered include first aid responder, manual handling and building safety, to name but a few. For a full list of training courses and availability, contact Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet on 074 9132033.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Okay, back to the issue of the active travel plans which were passed by the council last week. This relates to Letterkenny, and there are proposals on the circular road that effectively brings it down to 2 lanes, narrows the road, no right-hand turn for a stretch. Councillor Jerry McMonigal is with us again. Thanks, Jerry. We'll come back to you in a moment. I just want to sample to more businesses in the area. James Cassidy is owner of Healthwise Pharmacies. And I suppose, James, you, like all of us, really see the benefits in active travel. I mean, my word, the more we can get out into the fresh air and move around carbon neutral, the better. But with all that being said, is this the right development in the right place at the right time?
Thanks, Greg. And you're right. We do support active travel and we want to see it rolled out where possible. But
we also have to be realistic about when is the right time to do it and what is the key objective. I'm afraid that in certain cases, because there's money there, the councils feel they have to spend it and will spend it regardless of the consequences. So for circular roads, we know we've been through the traffic turmoil recently of starting the whole place up and one-way systems and stuff like that for the water and the piping and stuff. Now to do it again would be viable and worthwhile if it were going to yield benefits. But the simple design problems here. We did a little bit of work with some of the local businesses, and there are over 2 million visits between the Glencar shopping complex and Simpsons every year, not counting the hospital. And if you have a real active travel network with cycle and walking paths, and you put it where there's going to be 2 million crossings per year, there's a safety issue. It could be on the other side of the road where the residents will be discommoded, but there's not the same level of crossing. And we put that to the engineers, and they just said, look, practically it has to be the side of the road because, you know, cost and convenience and stuff like that to construct it. So the design is about cost and convenience rather than safety.
And James, I'll come back to you in a moment. I only have a brief word with Jerry McMonagle, but before I go to him, did you submit this as part of the consultation, this desktop study, this opinion?
Yes, we did.
Right, okay.
And we did, to be fair, we met the engineers, but it was a case of this is what we can do and there was no other alternative.
All right, stay there. I'll come back to you. Councillor McMonagle, I know you're on to another appointment, but I mean, we've heard from another business owner there who themselves had done a desktop study to show that this might be the right idea, but it's not being implemented correctly, and it's about getting the best bang for the buck of the money available rather than what's best for the area. Does that concern you at all, that we're trying to create a scheme within the funding that's available rather than waiting and doing the right scheme at the right time for the right money?
Look, Greg, as I said earlier, we've been discussing this for quite a while in the council, looking at all the pros and cons of it. And more importantly, the benefits it's going to bring to the people of Letterkenny. We're in a growing town. It's growing into a city, and we need to have the infrastructure within that town that's growing into a city to be able to meet all the needs of the people who live here. We have a university in the town. Its numbers are growing. The rise of the e-scooters and e-bikes is increasing, and we can see that every day. We have nowhere for those people to go, and that is primarily the main form of transport of young people accessing the university. We have multiple schools around the Glencar area. We have a large population in that area, and there's no real safe passage to school for the children. So parents feel obliged that they have to take their children in cars. Now, what we're trying to do is to make the roads that we have safer for everyone, and not just the car user. And what we need to do is reduce the number of cars. And the active travel programme that we're initiating here, it's part of a wider transport plan for Letterkenny where we will have a public town bus service, and that is work that's ongoing as well and will be delivered next year.
Have you any concerns? Have you any concerns that these active travel plans don't accommodate the town bus service in terms of pick-up and drop-offs?
Yeah, well, look, and I've sought a meeting with the NTA just recently again to discuss the actual bus stops that would be allayed by particular businesses to allow the free flow of traffic.
Yeah, but the road has not been decided. The road's not been decided where it can be a hop-on, hop-off service. You know, that's
but
it's inconvenient.
It has been designed for a hop-on, hop-off service. It means that the road stops on the carriage, the bus stops on the carriageway, and you hop off and hop on. 90% of the time, we talk about the circular road and traffic, it's really busy in the mornings, it's busy at tea time. 90% of the rest of the day, you can access the circular road. The right-hand turning lanes, you will still be able to turn right. You'll be just coming off one lane, crossing another one, into the various businesses and housing estates along the way. So, look, I think what people need to do is, and I'm sorry because that they didn't get a chance to go to the public information sessions or discuss with the engineers what the plan was and what the scheme was all about, because they would get all the information there. We did do a letter drop around the general area, also to inform the householders, businesses that, and we engage with all the businesses, the hospital, the fire service. So there's a wide range of work has been put into this already. Now, it's all about making, as I say, it's safer for people to get about the town. We have a growing number of, we see the bikes, we see the scooters, we're trying to encourage young people to get away from sitting watching a box in a corner and playing games on it, to get them out and be active.
Okay.
And whilst I hear James's concerns, we know, and the engineers has give us, and I'm sure James as well, the reassurances that they will try and keep disruption to a minimal. But I think when this is done, it has to be looked in the overall context of a growing town that's growing into a city, that the demands for getting about safely are very high at the minute. And what we're doing is putting in place a safer way to get about Letterkenny.
And very finally, you're also in favour of reducing that stretch of the Remelton Road outside the Mount Errigal Hotel to 2 lanes as well?
Yeah, look, that there will be for a stretch. It'll go down to 1 lane and then it'll go back to 2. At the minute, there's 2 lanes there, but if we're honest, the main thing about that project there is the signalisation of the 2 roundabouts. That will manage the traffic better than anything that we currently have in place, because the roundabouts are adding to the delays that we have at particular times, and morning times and at tea time. But once we get the signalisation there, that will help and assist the movement of traffic and manage it better.
Okay.
I have no doubt about
Can I
that,
ask
Greg.
you 2 things just really, really quickly?
Yes,
And
James
I appreciate
Cassidy.
You're very busy.
No, I'm fine. It's
Yeah,
Jerry McMonigal who I'm concerned us to move
I
on here.
understand Jerry's busy and I appreciate his time. But 2 things, Jerry. In most places, e-scooters are not supposed to be on the active travel place. They're supposed to be on the roads. Is that going to be the case in Letterkenny, or are they going to be on the active travel pathways? Because
No,
they're the only
they
people
will be
really
allowed
going to get
on
up the hill.
No, they will be allowed on the active travel because that's what they're being developed for. They're not currently allowed on the footpath. And as you know, James, I'm sure you've seen it, and we've had numerous incidents in the town where people have been actually knocked down or bumped into by people on e-scooters on footpaths. And what we need to do is regularise that, make it safer for their use, and ensure that they have a defined space which is safe for the user and for all our pedestrians.
That's fair
and
enough,
road
Jerry,
users.
and I appreciate that. And it was just a clarification. But the other one, and the really big one, is if you look at cycle paths, the country round, and I do a bit of cycling myself, unless there's a maintenance budget for those paths to keep them clean and clear, cyclists won't use them to go on the road because they get punctures. So is there going to be a maintenance budget in the council to keep those active pathways like roads properly clean and clear so that cyclists can actually use them?
Yeah, and we actually had a meeting with the senior management team here and the Letterkenny councillors, and was one of the issues we raised. Whilst we are putting in place all these active travel programs, there needs to be a maintenance budget to maintain them and upkeep them at all times so that they are safe for use. And yes, that would be my determination going forward, that would happen, and that. Because I agree with you, there's no sense in putting these in if they're not going to be maintained and kept at a high standard.
But we're not doing that on the 4 lanes at the moment. They're not being cleaned in any formalised way.
Well, that there is getting put into place now, Greg. I know they have been done there recently, and it's about just getting the budget, finding the way they do it, because there will have to be.
And just to James's point, because what James has mentioned actually is probably going to be the next conversation when this comes about. E-scooters going 20 kilometres up and down that road, mixed with pedestrian traffic, kids trying to be safe on their bikes, particularly in the UK. This is causing a nightmare with injury and collisions recorded on these sort of active travel spaces. Do you think it's appropriate to have scooters going the max 20 kilometres, some faster than that, using the same space as kids on bikes and what have you?
Well, you're taking it to its worst scenario.
Yeah.
Look, what you expect is people would be respectful of the people around them and would be stay within the law. But if people are driving erratically or too fast for some, well, the Gardaí Econo is there to ensure that there doesn't happen. And I would think that people normally who use those type of modes of transport are respectful of the law and mindful of the people around them. But when we have a situation now where the the rules of the road are not really being enforced, and it's a sort of a very grey area, and people are allowed on the footpath, drive off onto the road, onto the footpath. That's where the accidents are happening currently. So if we have a designated space for those vehicles to travel on safely,
Okay.
I think that will curtail them.
Councillor Jay McMonigal, thank you very much for that. James, I will come back to you in a moment, but I know Brendan Delap has been waiting patiently too. He's secretary of the St. Unions Area Residents Association, so that's a big block of folks potentially affected by this. So, Brendan, what's the views of residents?
Well, the residents have come to me with a certain amount of cribs that they had on it, but I myself would have experience in safety. As I was secretary of the Donegal Motor Club way back in the early 1980s, and I also did a layout safety plan for insurance for the cycle race from Sligo to Letterkenny for about 25 years. So I think I know a wee bit about safety, and maybe that could be brought into play. Now, you did steal some of my thunder when you said the council meeting with councillors from other areas having a vote. If those councillors were decent, they would have abstained, because there is no way that they can have the knowledge that would take them to vote on a procedure around Letterkenny, such as the Act of Travel. Now, that said, one of my big things is in emergency services. If you take, I'll come back to my own area because I have a lot in it, but if you take the circular road, they're going to take away the chevrons in the middle of the road, and those are the little white lines. They're going to narrow the road down. Now, if the chevrons remained and the islands remained, there'd be somewhere for the emergency services that they could pass the traffic if the traffic went into the chevrons or went into the right turns. Even they're not turning right, there's somewhere for the emergency services to get through.
Mm-hmm.
We saw out at the 4 lanes that the Garda car had to actually go up and mount the footpath and get to try and get into the town in an emergency. This sort of stuff is crazy. They're trying to put 2 lanes into one out at the Ballyreen. Now, if I get 2 pints of water, 2 pint glasses, and get 1 pint jar and try and pour the 2 single pints into a 1 pint jar, I'm going to have fun. One of the councillors said that the lights are working very well at the Polestar, but traffic coming from Ramelton is a problem out as far as the Glebe. So they're going to reduce from 2 lanes to 1 lane, and that's going to solve it. Now, I'll go back to my area here, right? Consultation. I went to the consultation meeting along with residents from here. Every single item or thing that we went to ask to change or that, you have to accept this plan in total or the money will go somewhere else. Now, I don't know of anything that's always 100%, that you get 100% off. That was where they were coming from. It wasn't consultation, it was dictation, telling you that's the plan, that's the way it's going to be, that's it, right? I got on to the councillors, or I got on to the engineers. Michael Canning was the engineer I spoke to, and a fellow called Joe. And when this was nearly complete, I had issues with them on the safety. I also had issues with them on a set-down place for the preschool. They have put set-down on it, but I asked them to dedicate that area to it and to indicate. Can't do that. So I decided I'd had enough. I contacted the NTA by email in November. I got a reply saying it'll be looked after in 15 days. I sent another request. It said it'll be dealt with in 15 days. In February, I wrote to them again, got nothing. So I went to Dublin. I went into the NTA office. and I asked them to see someone in connection with the active travel on the Convent Road. There was nobody there to take me. I said, I've come especially from Donegal up to see you.
Mm-hmm.
I turned and came back down again, and after 3 hours I got a phone call saying, we don't see people. And I didn't expect to be seen going off the street, don't get me wrong, but I had to do that to get
heard
to the NTA.
Mm.
The NTA said to me, they're the boys that pay in the piper, so they should be calling the tune. I asked for someone to come down here, and I would take them through it step by step. Can't do it. Go back to the council. They said, go back to the council. So I said, fair enough, and I wrote to John McLaughlin on the 14th of May and said I was palmed off by the NTA. Then, when that happened, I'm at my doorbell rang.
No, that's okay. But you've obviously went through locally, nationally, then back to local again. You've in a very clear way.
I've done that, right?
Yeah,
and I'm getting the actual.
Well, come here, you go and get the door, Brendan. You get
right?
You get that door. I'll see if I can get back to you. So James and Councillor Kieran Brogan's going to join us in a moment. He's the newly elected Cahirlock of Letterkenny Milford Municipal District. James, the one thing I'm learning this morning is that the likes of Brendan there on behalf of a good chunk of residents, the likes of yourself too, from a business perspective, you have engaged with the council. You've sort of evidence-based made arguments as to why this is not just the right development at this time. But it seems that the plans haven't been really adapted to take into consideration your informed view, James, which is regrettable, I suppose, in a public consultation context.
Yeah, well, I think Brendan hit the nail on the head, Greg. There was a plan produced and there was a budget available, and it was put forward that we either get the money and we do it or we don't. And that plan was not really. Now, I met Michael and Joe, and they were very personable and they heard us out, but they effectively said, look, there's nothing we can do. And the proposals that we made were not workable. So, again, go back, the 4 lane is the perfect example when Brendan mentioned about emergency services and access, but even the town bus service. Their plan is that it stops in the middle of the road to let people on and off. There are no areas to pull in. And, if you are on a certain part of Letterkenny, or if you're out in Garton or Trent or whatever, and you want to get into the hospital and there's a snarl up on the road, there's nowhere for people to go. So, practical. We're in favour of active travel, Greg. We want it.
Yeah, but hop on, hop off to means that maybe you could have a person who is not as physically active anymore, or someone in a wheelchair. We'd hope the buses would be wheelchair accessible with a buggy. I mean, can you imagine if you're trying to get on one of these buses with a buggy, for an example, and the only solution is to hold up all of the traffic in the lane behind you? That when at planning stage, if we're not factoring things like that in, there are some out there would say, well, we're seeing problems, but we're not actually fixing them at the planning stage. We're actually probably going to end up trying to, the same with the 4 lanes, drop in the curves. We were talking about access for emergency, and people think we just moan, James, but we were talking about access for an emergency services on that road before a shovel even went into the ground. And now, after the fact, we're spending more money dropping curves so cars can drive up onto the curb, onto the active travel spaces or wherever it might be, to let ambulances through. Like, we have an opportunity here, and we seem to be making, some might say, the same mistakes again. And
the irony is, Greg, is that if the space works as we all want to see it working and people use it a lot, there's going to be 2 million crossings of an active travel area every year. That's a recipe for disaster, especially if you've got e-scooters flying up and down the road.
The e-scooters, and there's another thing too, and with all respect to Councillor McMonigal, that whole how e-scooters and pedestrians and regular cyclists cohabit cycle lanes, that actually hasn't been resolved yet, if the truth be told. We don't know. There's serious problems in Britain with e-scooters on they don't want to. It's like people on racing bikes. They don't want to be on cycle lanes. They want to be on the road. and to rely on enforcement could be a problem. But I do want to bring in Cathaoirleach of Letterkenny and Milford Municipal District, Councillor Kieran Brogan, and congratulations, Kieran. I haven't spoken to you since your election to that position. But in fairness, you have been, a strong advocate against some of these plans, and I think you're a little bit like James, Kieran. It's great, but it has to be at the right time, in the right place, with the correct additional infrastructure around Letterkenny.
Yeah, that's right, Greg. Thank you for your congratulations and good morning. Look, I've been very concerned about the whole issue of active travel around Letterkenny for some time, and I've raised it over a number of years, and even gone back to the situation of the 4-lane and the emergency service discussion there. I mean, our party in Fianna Fáil was against that at the time because we thought it was premature as well. So I think our position has been consistent on this. It's about the timing of it. I think active travel sounds good. It makes great reading, but we have to be realistic about what the challenges we face at the minute. And I think that's very evident now when we see, and a lot of these concerns were raised at the time by the emergency services themselves regarding the 4-lane, for example. And now we see that the rally weekend, now that the Cullen Road has to be closed, that in itself is an acknowledgement that the 4-lane project has failed us. Regarding the active travel on the Circular Road, it's an area I'm very, very, very familiar with. There's a lot of, elderly people who have been living there all their lives, from Oatfield Terrace, Muckish Avenue, Derry Avenue, Binion Avenue, Crokenard Avenue, Croagh Avenue, Ashbrook and Sleeve Snap, right up to Glenwood Park, Glencare Park, Dr. McGinley Road, a huge, the highest populated area of the town, and where you have the right turning lanes. The right turning lanes were there for a reason. They were implemented back in the day by the engineers for safety, to allow people to make the right turn manoeuvre, either going up or coming down. And by taking these away now for the active travel, it makes absolutely no sense. Now, what I said at the meeting, unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to get to address that with yourself since, but I mean, what I said that was premature, that it should be deferred, because we are trying to put forward a project for active travel, in fact, as part of it, for Windy Hall. The Windy Hall road from Capitol Lane Car over to Knocknamona is only 2 kilometres long. If the Windy Hall road and the brand new state-of-the-art road that's badly needed was complete and finished, then we'd be having a different conversation here today, because all the traffic, like James has said, from Churchill, Trent and different areas of Kilmacrennan would have an alternative route to go across Windy Hall. You'd be turning into more of a local traffic. But the Circular Road, as we know it, and listen to Brendan on there too, nothing but the highest respect for him, to be honest. I'm absolutely shocked to learn the journey that he's been through, which is unfortunate too. But the Circular Road is a relief road, and because the people from Glenswally or Glendish or wherever else coming into that part of the county going to the hospital all use the Circular Road. So it's not just the local road that it is. All the bus traffic, the amount of school children in that area, and the buses that are in that road are by narrowing the carriageway down to 7 metres. I mean, the two buses, the mirrors will be meeting them, the lorries will be hitting them. And then, not to mention the business owners as well. I mean, I've been speaking to the business owners a lot in that area over the course of the last number of weeks and months. And unfortunately, the business owners were of the opinion that, this is going ahead anyway. But the reality is, it wouldn't.
Well, Councillor, can I ask you, Kieran, what is the function then of the public consultation process? Because it seems to me that those that engaged in this process, and we are hearing from those that didn't know it was happening, and that's a different topic almost, but if we've got people like, James Cassidy and, Brendan Delap and who's representing residents and is still with us, I believe, and also other businesses, and they're saying, look, we live here, we see the traffic, we're not against this, but these plans aren't working. You're putting the cycle lanes on the wrong side of the road because it's cheaper to get this funding and so on and so forth. And they're still being told, well, they're progressing nonetheless as planned. What's the function of the public consultation then if people put so much effort into saying, look, this is not just a feeling, here's the evidence?
Well, previously during public consultation, there would have been a lot of negotiations, and I've been involved in many projects over the years. Going back from the M56 from the top out to Terman, and there was many different processes that people had different issues with, and plans would have had to be amended. But unfortunately, in this situation here, the plans were not amended in any way, including the one for Circular Road. And despite the discussions I would have had with businesses in that area, they were of the opinion that plans either could be amended or couldn't be amended, but they weren't amended. And there's nothing wrong with somebody saying sometime, maybe we need to listen to James, or we need to listen to John, or listen to Mary or Anne and try and amend it. There was no amendments here, and the plan was put through as was. But I suppose the genuine concerns the business people have here in the Circular Road is you have 2 cycling lanes going across into the businesses there, which effectively mean if you're turning in or coming out of the business lane, that you have to cross over the 2 paths, and indeed the residents going to Sleevesnack have the same journey to go as well. So, look, I think it's going to be a huge, huge challenge. I think it'll fail, to be quite honest, and I think it should be deferred until we try and get the way
this wouldn't. This arguably would have not gone over the line. I just want to put one final question to Councillor Brogan there, and this is with no disrespect to any of these people, right? John Seamus O'Ferry from the west of the county, Dakota Menimum from the east of the county, Micheál Collum from the west of the county, Noel Jordan from Donegal Town, Martin Harley from Ballybofey, Ali Farn from Malin, Gary Doherty from the east of the county, Albert Doherty from Inishowen, Brian Carr from Glenties, Joy Bird from Inishowen as well. All brilliant people, don't get me wrong, Kieran. But on a matter that is so specific to a specific area, what's your feelings about people from all of the county having their say in it? And I suppose maybe voting along party lines to support, party affiliated councillors in their areas. Am I being disrespectful to democracy even asking that question? And as I say, full respect for all of those people.
Rather than get into personalities or individuals,
I'll come back to you on that.
What would happen there, that they would be guided by the local public representative, and all the parties, and that's what happened. I know with our party in Fianna Fáil was united that we were all opposed to it, and our colleagues would be guided by, I suppose, the local members here in this area was myself and Donald Kelly and Donald Coyle and Liam Blaney. So the rest of the members in our county would have followed suit. Just moving on into the different one that you talked about earlier, the Ballyreen one. What's somewhat different about the Ballyreen one there from the Polestar with the Ballyreen, Greg, is that there was a Party 8 put forward for that in 2020. The Party 8 was different completely to the one now that's envisaged going forward. And my argument is there that we're introducing cycle lanes on that one. The reconfiguration of the traffic management of taking out a lane is not what was published in 2020. That is somewhat different to the rest. And that's why, in my opinion, that cannot proceed, because the public and the businesses in that area have not had a chance to make their submissions.
You haven't consulted on that. Yeah, you mentioned that before. Yeah, it is. And also
I think that's important. So look, there's a very clear message this morning from the discussion I've heard that people like Brendan and people like James and everybody else who's been on your show this morning feel that they're not being listened to. And I think that's unfortunate, because consultation is about taking people's points on board and how we can try and shape or change the policy to meet their needs and make them feel included. So that's unfortunate, and I think we need to look at this.
And it is, I mean, when we're closing a road,
it's not going to go away.
No, and when we're closing a road effectively to reserve it for emergency traffic behind a multi-million-euro development, we really need to make sure that we're scrutinising these things, that we're not just trying to stir or anything. This is it's kind of public service stuff. Thanks, Councillor Kieran Brogan. James Cassidy, owner of Healthwise Pharmacies, I want to thank you as well for joining us. Good morning to you.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks very much. And Brendan, sorry, I wanted to come back to you there to give you a minute or two, because your phone, your doorbell was going and stuff.
I want a couple of minutes, please, if you don't mind. I wanted an island put at the top of West Hill so that the buses couldn't get turning. I asked the councillor on behalf of the residents, the buses are coming down, they're coming to the right-hand side and they're reversing in. The engineers told me they would design it in such a way that the buses couldn't reverse and turn. They're still doing it, there's no island. Now, there was a set-down area on the left. A set-down we were told that the school, the preschool, would get a designated spot. They would get parking. There's set-down on the road. The ones that are going to Skullcolumkill come in and they fill that, so there's no room for the ones going to the preschool. That traffic, some of it's coming in and out of West Hill. Now, I got the runaround and field from the.
We'll keep it general, not to names, if that's okay.
No, wait a wee minute. It was passed on. This is very important. Brian Cannon, I've had 6 or 7 different emails coming, and at the end up, I wrote and I said, I feel as though I'm getting a runaround. I feel as though you don't want to come and meet me. You're 15 minutes away from Lifford. So he said to me, in trying to find out what I was actually talking about, which active travel Convent Road is fairly clear.
Brendan, do you see I mean this with absolute respect to you, but to see your personal correspondence with an individual, I don't have access to their point of view on this.
I can give it to you.
I know I'm not doubting you for a second. It's just the rules of engagement that we have. So if you could just keep it a little bit general.
A person in a high position at Lifford told me that the work is complete now, just
on the
out
design
by chance. So anything that I'm putting in now is not complete, in my estimation. Mm-hmm. There's a pedestrian crossing at the boys' school. There's no line across the road. You know the half line across the road to stop traffic from going over the actual pedestrian crossing. Mm-hmm. So that all the traffic now is actually at a standstill, and they're up on top of it. And if anybody wants to cross, they're crossing on the blind, because one set of traffic is stopped, and there can be movement coming down the way on the other side. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Yeah.
There was 10 parking spaces opposite the boys' schools. That's the 10 parking spaces. And when this work was going on, they were taken away. But I'm told that the people that park there every day, day in, day out, same cars, from 8:30 until 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
Right? Now, those spaces could be used, and there's 10 spaces in that, but on a pull in, pull out, pull in, pull out,
drop off.
Those 10 spaces could actually account
Brendan,
for
listen,
60 to 70 spaces.
Yeah, I really do appreciate all of your time this morning, Brendan. Unfortunately, the clock has caught up on us. We do, as I say, appreciate your time, and we appreciate the time of all of our guests. And we've got loads of calls and comments to get through as well too. But I must take this quick break.
Highland Bakery brings the magic to your morning tea break. Golden scones, still warm, soft in the middle and impossible to resist. Look for the packet with the rabbit on it. Fresh from the oven to your local shop. 25 years of Highland Bakery.
At Franklin's, we understand getting the right property valuation matters. If you're selling your home in Donegal, trust the experts who truly know the market. Whether you're upsizing, downsizing, we're here to help every step of the way. At Franklin's, we do things differently. Honest advice, expert guidance, and a name you can trust. Book your valuation today at franklins.ie or call our office on 07491 88 000. Franklin's, putting the value in valuations.
New store, new project. Your new B&Q and TradePoint Letterkenny is now open. Dreaming of a garden glow-up? Fresh colour for your walls? Or a new kitchen? Whatever you need for your next home improvement project, we're here to help at your new B&Q Letterkenny. Find us at Unit 4 Letterkenny Retail Park, Neil T. Blaney Road. We're open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday. You can do it when you B&Q it.
Grab half-price broadband in the Virgin Media Playhouse. For this month only, all our broadband speeds are half price. That's lightning-fast connection from just €35 a month, locked in for 12 months with no activation fee. Why wait? Enjoy speeds from 500 megs to 5 gigs right now. All for half price. Available nationwide. See virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Subject to location and availability. New customers only, €35 per month for 12 months for 500 meg broadband. Half price on 12-month broadband contracts only and based on after-offer prices for all speeds. Offer ends 2nd of July. T's and C's apply. See virginmedia.ie.
At iMotors, it's not just about cars, it's about great experiences. Just ask Michelle.
I recently purchased a car with Gavin at iMotors. Very professional, happy to help, and the trade-in was seamless.
If it worked for Michelle, it can work for you too. Browse trusted used cars now at iMotors.ie or visit their showroom today in Letterkenny or Malin.
iMotors, fearless generation.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
That's the Clear Mobile Parrot. He knows a good thing when he hears it, because it's only
$12.99.
Yes, only $12.99 for unlimited 5G data and calls. Yes, there are texts, and that's why he's our top salesperson. A parrot.
$12.99.
Clear Mobile. Keep it clear. Powered by Vodafone.
$12.99.
Activation fee €12.99. 19 gigabytes UK and EU roaming data for terms. See clearmobile.ie/terms.
Want a new Kia? Call to Heron Auto Donegal to arrange your test drive on our 252 Kia range, where quality customer care comes first. We have 0% finance available on all EV models. Visit Heron Auto on the Killybegs Road to test drive and order your 252 Kia and receive a €500 Super Value gift card. Drive with confidence. Drive with Heron Auto.
Need rapid care for a minor injury or fracture? Why wait when you can be seen today at Kingsbridge Northwest Minor Injuries and Fracture Clinic? See a GP with A&E experience and avail of further scans and surgery with highly trained nurses, radiologists and orthopaedic surgeons on site. Available Monday through to Saturday in Ballykelly for Leia insured and self-paying patients. Visit kingsbridgegpclinic.com today for further information.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find all your summer essentials from fashion and accessories to beauty and homeware at McElhenney's. Explore more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
So a mix of cloud and some sunny spells today with a small chance of a few showers this morning. More in the way of sunshine will develop towards evening. Highest temperatures of 17 to 20 degrees and the outlook pretty decent. Although in the earlier spell of summer, if we could call it that, the north did better than the south, and over the course of the next week or so, our weather's going to be okay, but it's still going to be a case reversed, that the south is going to get better than the north. Morning, Greg. Once again, the councillors are not listening to the people, just like our government, and other people won't walk or use public transport because Letterkenny's being filled with dangerous people, they say. So Jerry is saying there was a letter drop. When was that done, Jerry? Can you confirm? Now, he says that was done by his own party. So that would have been, presumably targeted. That was something his party did, and not necessarily the council themselves. Recircular road, adding to carbon footprint by using more diesel. Will the changes to the circular road affect the hospital if you can't make a right-hand turn? There are two signs in Letterkenny that says no right turn, one at the hospital and one at the bus stop, and no one pays any attention to them, says a listener. But there's going to be no facility for a right-hand turn at this stage. The plans aren't to preclude it. Jerry McMonigal said there was a letter drop around all locals. No leaflet drops into Muckish Avenue on Circular Road from a resident. We should have a town bus service, not a bike lane on Circular Road. E-scooters aren't allowed on footpaths. What's Councillor McMonigal on about? He talks of schools. They redesigned around Convent Road and left no drop-off for Sculmorag on Small. And there's nowhere to drop off at St. Eunan's at all. Design is just spending money for users for using its sakes. But there's going to be cycle lanes, which I imagine e-scooters can go on. Are pensioners supposed to all get on their bike too? The entire idea is a mess. Councillors saying Letterkenny going into a city with only one entrance in and out. Why are they not pushing to get a bridge over the Swilly? Well, one thing I can say categorically is everybody is pushing for that bridge. To a person. Okay, break for the news and loads more coming up. I'll catch up on more of your comments on that issue, and also we'll be talking GAA.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
A public service announcement from Donegal County Council. Donegal County Council are delighted to announce that the Lochfoyle ferry service linking Greencastle and McGilligan and the Swilly ferry service linking Buncrana and Rathmullen will operate a full service from the 30th of May 2025. Both ferries operate 7 days a week. Further information, including timetables and fares, can be found at lochfoyleferry.com or swillyferry.com. Donegal County Council, promoting tourism and supporting our communities.
The moment you got told the good news.
Rob, you made the panel.
When the lads added you into the group. Skipping nights out, missing the crack. Rewatching classics and learning new tricks. Being driven to the biggest game of your life by your mam. And then you finally come on in the 51st minute. It's the minor moments that last a lifetime. The Electric Ireland GAA Minor Championships. This is major.
At the Central Statistics Office, we're trusted to gather all sorts of information. So, we count exports, imports, airports and seaports. We count schools, pools and how many O'Tools? We count emissions, permissions and social conditions. We count beds, sheds and newlyweds. We count families, growing trees and diversity. Because this data informs important decisions on everything from economic activity to housing policy to what to call a new baby. And we can't do it without you. CSO. Count on us, we count on you.
Brian McCormick Sports. New Hoka trainers in-store and online. Try the new Clifton 10, even softer as you take every stride. New range of colours for men and women. Different widths to suit your feet. Bondi 9. New colours for men and women. Take the Hoka Challenge and see what fits you best. If you're road running or walking, maximise your comfort and support at Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny.
Would you like to experience the magic of Riverdance 30, the new generation? Come along with Highland Radio on Thursday, August the 28th for an unforgettable trip to Dublin's Gaiety Theatre. Enjoy luxury coach travel, a night stay at the 4-star Grand Canal Hotel, and premium seats to the iconic show. Spaces are limited, so secure your spot today. Call us now on 074 91 25000 or visit the outlet at highlandradio.com.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to noon show on Highland Radio.
And it is 11 o'clock. Let's get a news update, and it's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Councillor Joy Beard is again stressing the need for Donegal County Council to develop an action plan to protect those living in crumbling homes or mobiles in the event of an orange or red weather warning, as well as a communication strategy to ensure people are aware of that plan in good time. It's an issue the Buncrana-based representative has raised numerous times in her first year on council. Councillor Beard says in January offers of emergency accommodation were only issued at 5 p.m. the evening before Storm Owen hit, and that, she says, was far too late. A special meeting of EU Foreign Affairs Ministers will take place tomorrow to discuss the escalating tensions between Israel and Iran. There have been missiles fired between the two countries now for 4 nights in a row after Israel attacked Iranian nuclear facilities last week. The American President Donald Trump has said he does want to see a deal done. However, Iran says it will not negotiate while it's under attack. Letterkenny could soon be one of Ireland's 10 tidiest towns and villages, according to the head of Irish Business Against Litter. The town is ranked 13th out of 40 surveyed and deemed to be clean to European norms. IBAL says Letterkenny's case is that one spot in particular is dragging it down, and if Donegal County Council were to address that issue, then he believes Letterkenny could very quickly return to the top 10. Full details on our website, highlandradio.com. Police in Foyle are investigating a report of dangerous driving at the weekend. They say shortly before 11:15 last night, police received a report of a red Vauxhall Vectra with a flat tyre in the Drumquin Road area of Castlederg. Driving erratically, police conducted patrols, and at 2:15, a vehicle matching the description was found in new buildings. 3 men were arrested, aged 17, 19 and 25, on suspicion of driving-related offences. They've still been bailed to allow for further inquiries. And last year, an average 6.6 kilograms of household e-waste was recycled per person in Donegal. That's 30% less than the national average of 9.5 kilograms. The figure is contained in the latest Waste, Electrical and Electronic Equipment Ireland annual report. Again, more details on highlandradio.com. We're back with headlines again at 12 noon.
Donald, thanks very much.
You're in a cab. Oh, you think it's broken? Oh. No, it's a smart move going straight to a local hospital. Let me check your cover. Yeah, you're grand on this end for any hospital bills. You're welcome. Tell the taxi driver to get you there safe, yeah?
That's how VHI does travel insurance. VHI Multi-Trip. Terms and conditions apply. VHI Healthcare DAG trading as VHI Healthcare is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland and is tied to Collinson Insurance Europe Limited for VHI Multi-Trip travel insurance.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. Brendan Devaney is going to be joining me in a bit, but it's a good opportunity to catch up on some of your calls and comments. Good morning, Greg. I was on the Harry Blaney Bridge for the first time last week. I was astonished at it. I can't understand why our Donegal politicians, both councillors and TDs, don't levy the government to do the same in Letterkenny. I'm retired now, thankfully, but my heart goes out to anyone going through Letterkenny on a daily basis. Greg, it is Fianna Fáil who introduced this new active travel policy at a national level, and now you have the local reps claiming they're against it. Listen, no one's against active travel. It's when it's done correctly in the right place. I think any party would be in favour of active travel. Fine Gael, Sinn Féin, Independents, whatever. It's just, it's not about who introduced it nationally versus who's endorsing it locally. It's the fact that it's a good idea on paper, but it has to be in the right place at the right time, people are saying. But the caller goes on to say, bottom line, this is putting the cart before the horse as usual. We need to deal with the actual traffic issues first. Get the traffic out of the town, then we'd have time to actually address active travel. The council planners are showing themselves to be incompetent, they say, but that, again, it's not their fault that the national funding has been so slow in coming for the stuff that you want done, in fairness to them. And also, they're not responsible for the 4 lanes as such either. A lot of this is TII. The town is set between 2 hills. It's not a cycling town, but a lot of bikes into the future are going to have motors in them, right? So that people will be, they assist you up and down hills and stuff. So I'm not sure actual manual cycling. There's people going to have ways around that in the not too distant future. Brendan, poor old Mayo. Why did we do that to them?
Oh, I know.
The curse continues.
Did you?
Do you know what I'm going to do? Swing that mic over there because that's the wrong microphone.
Is it?
Yeah, it's not your fault.
No problem.
Get that one out of the road. Sorry, I should do this off air, but it's just annoying me and I won't be fit to relax. There you go. All right, okay. The housework is complete. Yeah, poor old Mayo. 3 pints in Cavan, though.
Yeah, don't down the championship. Listen.
And just rotate that 180 degrees for me. It's not your fault again. Not the mic cover the entire mic. Yeah, perfect. Keep that. So B1's facing you. Keep going. Keep going. Yes. Oh, can hear you now. Go on, hit me.
That's a wee lesson there, and the technical setup of the world.
It's my fault. Nothing to do with you at all, Brendan. So what a finish to that game. It had it all, didn't it? In fact, there was brilliant games throughout the whole weekend.
It's funny, the clip of our commentary at the end's up on the site there, and sometimes when you hear that back, you're like,
cringe, I know, but
well, kind of the emotion and I don't know. I was just delighted for Kieran Moore too. What a game he had, and when I interviewed him after, I was just saying, like, Donegal fans love seeing you on the ball because he is such a different athlete to almost everybody else that is on the park, And when he takes off, he can't be caught. And listen, he scored 3 points. He was raiding up that left wing quite a few times. And you got to play this thing.
I was actually. Can you hear me, PFL? Can you? Right, let's have a listen to it.
Yeah.
Mayo have gone level with 15 seconds to go. It's 18 plays 18.
Got to get possession now. One last play, Ocean.
This is so crucial from Sean Patton. We are level here. The hooter is about to go. The kick goes out to the left. Up they go forward. Goes over the top of everybody. But Donegal have the ball. It's with Kieran Moore now. Moore getting round the Mayo defence. Here's a chance for Kieran Moore. Moore kicks it high. Moore kicks it over the bar.
Attaboy, Moore!
Moore has just put Mayo out of the All-Ireland Championship. The game is over. Donegal won it 19-18. Kieran Moore is the hero of the
There you go. I've said it before, and I'm not just saying it. I love the two Brendans, but your and Brendan and Brendan Devaney and Oisin Kelly's interaction, because he's both you come in, but it doesn't take away from what it's hard to describe anyway. It just really, really works. The old hooter point went over, Mayo out, and Cavan in.
And technically, it was the draw would have seen us third and them second. So, yeah, they just needed the draw. So, but gut wrenching for them, all right. I was kind of joking with Kieran after. I said, if your friends and family in Mayo, because you've just dubbed the Violet Championship. But listen, he had a job to do. And I suppose, listen, we probably owed Mayo certainly a defeat at some stage. They've certainly had it over us since 2012. So we were there to do a job. You would say that the venue where we had to go to and all that probably played a bit into their hands.
Were you surprised that Jim McGuinness was so vocal about that after the fact? You know, because I mean, it was a win, good performance. We're into the prelims. We've got a home tie. I don't mean in any way critical at all, but it must have been something that was irking him, because when he felt he could speak freely, he made himself known.
Listen, he has every right to not be happy about it, and I suppose the thing is, where was the game going to be played? And this is the issue. Someone was going to have to, and rightly as he said, why was it us? You know, if Mayo had to come, listen, where would it be played? Breffni, we played the week before, Clonus, which we know inside out. So, you know, could it come to Oma, and as he was saying, that's like them coming to Oma and staying in Derry. So someone had to be faced with
it. It always feels like it's us.
No, I was just wondering about Mayo people coming home listening to news talk on their car and Jim giving off. They probably go, hey, we're out of the championship.
I know, yeah. That was what I was getting
But
at.
listen, it's funny. I met Sean Patton this morning there. We were talking, and I was just saying, you know, the fact that where it could have been if we had lost, you know, in a away fixture, it could have been in. It could have been Killarney.
Yeah.
And you think about rest and recovery, which is so huge, but the travel's massive in that. You know, them guys are going to Athlone, staying overnight, sitting on a bus, you know. So all that there impacts because you've so little time to recover, and Jim was highlighting that as well about the week on week and that. So the fact that we're at home now is absolutely huge this week.
And it's against Louth, and it's no disrespect to any team that's made it this far, right? But could have been Galway or Cork either. So, you know, in terms of prelims, at home, Louth, not take anything for granted, but it's a good draw.
I suppose it is. My friend from Galway, he's a GA, he was ringing me on the way back up yesterday, and he says the last thing we want to do is go to Donegal. Nobody wants to come to Donegal, right? Even though we had that off day, I think a small bit with Tyrone. Nobody wants to come to play us in Donegal. So that's the big thing, no matter who it was. Now for Louth, I suppose you've got to look at, first of all, the Louth team that won Leinster. They beat Meath. Meath hammered Kerry. That's it. You've got to be very careful. There's a kick in that Louth team. They obviously were affected by the celebrations and the length of time and all that. Affected them in the early group stage. Now, they come back against Down and probably should have got something out of that game. There's a last minute block, and Down are playing really well, as we see in the group. So, as you said, of course, taking nothing for granted, but I think Louth are better. They're probably people get them credit for, because they only won that one game against Clare. They probably should have got something out of the Down game, and they were off against Monaghan because I think of the celebrations. So certainly, yeah, they have a bit about them now.
Yeah, and we'll come back to Donegal, but Monaghan Down, watched that game too. They left everything on the pitch. I mean, you know, first and second, but they played it like their lives depended on it. It was a fantastic game, that one. And Down looked like they were. There was just a turning point. It was a turnover, and it was whoever got the next goal would sort of determine how the game would go. Yeah. Monaghan got it, and sort of the Down fight had gone at that point, but it was a great game to watch.
See, funny different games here. I was just looking back. I think Meath and Cork earlier in the group was very low scoring. I think it was 1-12 to 13 end of the score, and I think there was about 17 minutes gone in that Down Monaghan game, and there was more scores on the board. Like, some games are really taken off with the rules. You seen it yesterday. You know, if that was last year, Donegal would have really kind of took Mayo and a real trench warfare. But yesterday you seen the openness of it. There was breaks every time. There was savage excitement. And two teams there, like Down and Monaghan, they just went at it. You know, it was up there on hurling kind of score. Now, it did settle down towards the end, but yeah, it's just something about Monaghan probably, and you look at evolutions of teams, probably just that wee bit more experience and ability, and they obviously won the Division 1, but certainly down are improving. Good to see.
They really are, and they played really well at times there. Other results: Louth 2-17, Clare 2-14. That's in that particular group there. Tyrone 31-18 to Cavan. They kind of broke Cavan hearts early on, and we saw earlier in the weekend a remarkable comeback from Galway. I was just saying, you might focus on that for a moment too. Watching that first half with Armagh, you were going, right, this team's unbeatable. That's it. The tails are up. They're going to go for another one here. And then come out second half, and then it was like, wow, Galway.
Hold on. Hold that thought.
You know what I mean? Yeah, hold my pint. Here comes Galway. So it kind of shows that is there a form team in it?
You two
left?
penalty misses in there as well. And listen, if you're not playing
One was
well,
a point, but
and you can hang in there. I think from Donegal, when we were on top of Mayo, we didn't score enough. We kept Mayo. I'm not saying we kept them in the game, but we should have built up a bit of a lead. That when Mayo had their patch, what happened was we missed so many goal opportunities, half goal opportunities, a couple of easy points. We kind of let them stay within touching distance, and then they came right back into it. But as you seen, we Galway yesterday, it was interesting the way Conroy, player of the year last year, they left him on the bench. But you look at then the impact that someone has of his ability coming in. Walsh was out of sorts first half.
But you need balls to leave a player of that quality on the bench.
There's no doubt in Joyce, big cause. I mean, Comer was to be back. He's not there again. So, Finnerty and Thompson are having great years. You're just looking at different players, no more than Donegal, are stepping up different weeks and really having unbelievable games. And when you have squads like Armagh and Galway, there's so many players that on any given day is going to shine. But Rafferty's performance, I mean, he's unreal, saving penalties, scoring points. He's absolutely, he's going to be a huge threat for everybody who has to face him now in the championship.
Back to Donegal, there was a couple of games there where we seemed to be very reliant on everything going through Michael Murphy, and some of his passing yesterday, his awareness of players around him and their movement, and that he's a link in a move, and he just frees. There was one pass in the first half where he just took the ball, turned and released it, and it completely blew the game open. In terms of it was so incisive. Have you seen enough in yesterday and in previous games? And this is no disrespect to the rest of the team or whatever, but God forbid if he twisted his knee. And we're heading into games with the likes of Dan and whoever we might meet down the line, that there's enough in there that we can, we can play and adapt. I know there's other big men that can come into that part of the pitch, but we can sort of play almost as good without him, though anyone would want him in the team.
Listen, I pray he is on that team every time, but you know what, Greg?
And there's nothing to suggest he's injured, by the way. It's just a hypothetical.
I think what happens with Michael when he's in there, because he's so good at what he does, the lads will give him the ball every time he looks for it, which is right, because he'll always do the right thing on the ball. He's going to attract, he's going to score, he's going to set up, he's going to draw free. So if you looked at last year with Jim and Donegal won Ulster, we hadn't got Michael. So other players kind of step up and do a thing. Now, when he's in there, then you think, how do we ever play without him? And we will have to again. But yeah, players will just adapt. And you're right, that pass in the first half reflect on. And then the one in the second, I think, was Shane O'Donnell, eyed him up. And because Mayo were marking him so tight, Michael's very intelligent around, right? How do I get this ball? Because he's so strong, he dunts the defender, gives himself a yard, comes off to Shane. And then Shane, the ability, the energy he expends. He breaks 60 yards, rejoins him on the attack. It was like an old-fashioned 11 to 14 kind of pass. But just watching Michael, just as you said there, Greg, everything that he does,
like a talisman, I think we would call it in other circles. It looks like it's. They're going to have to factor in the rally. I suspect Donegal's game will be a GEA Plus game.
It's GEA Plus.
It is
GEA
Plus,
Sunday,
is
I think.
Right, okay.
So the rally's going to be out Fana direction on Sunday. So it's just a matter, I suppose, people that are in that area getting across.
It's tight because there are going to be people actually are going to have to leave their houses before 9 to get to that, because up in those stages if they want to go to the game, but you have to go with what pleases the majority, don't you? Right, so nothing for granted. You're quite bullish, actually, in your predictions with Mayo and what have you, and Cavan, wasn't it?
A few weeks ago,
yeah. And you were, you know, it was squeaky bum enough at times, but
It
anyway,
was,
you
it
were
was.
right. Tyrone
Well,
had done us a favour effectively too, which gave us a bit
That was after Mayo's performance against Cavan. So again, a bit like your halftime with Galway. Be very careful game on game with teams at the minute.
Nothing, especially when now we're in the real important part of it now. The way the games are going now, like, is 7 points down at half time. You're going to watch the second half still because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, the momentum switches. I mean, the big one yesterday, probably for me, was after the Mayo goal and how we did and how that goal sneaked in. I really got a bit of a tight feeling in the stomach yesterday. There was so many small things were going against us. Refereeing decisions, the black card. Even the time that Hughie got the shot and the ref let him get attention and he played on, you know, like some of the stuff was happening and you're trying to be impartial, but it felt like a lot of wee things were going against us. The way that goal sneaked in, but then Darrell Boyle comes on, hits that wonder score 2-pointer, and then Michael hit the next point, so we cancelled out the goal. I think that was a massive part in that second half. Again, just how we then you could see that there's belief in Donegal, but I thought they were. You know, we expended so much energy then. Both teams were out on their feet a wee bit in terms of the break going forward. Dawson had a couple of points in the second half, and then he had 2 wides and 1 short. So we did probably get a bit of joy then from missed chances of Mayo. We rode our luck, as you said, a small bit. But listen, we came out on top.
Cole wants to know, he's a Portadown supporter. Do you remember playing for Portadown? Completely unconnected, but...
Would you believe I have a guy up? He was... I met a guy yesterday from Sheffield. We were having the crack, and he's Sheffield United. And I says, I played with Kevin Pressman, ex-Sheffield Wednesday keeper.
Yeah.
So we're having just chatting to a boy from Sheffield yesterday. We were having a laugh about that. I says, I pulled out the Kevin Pressman story, but that's when I played with Portadown. Like, we had a few players playing in the Premiership, and here was me up with them going, what am I doing along with these boys?
Faking it till you make it. Can you ask Brendan, I think you referenced this, what he thought of some of the ref decisions yesterday? I felt he favoured Mayo a bit.
Yeah, listen, that's funny, just what I was thinking as well. And I met the ref coming out then, and then of course you meet him and he's all like, be nice to you. And then you bottle getting on to him. It's terrible. I had a good mind to say, here, lad, what the hell was it? What was this? What was that?
But
and then when I meet him then,
spot.
he's all talking I don't really know the guy, but one of his umpires I know well, he works for Murdoch's up in Uri, and he's like, my guy in Down, you've guys in every county. You're like, what's happening? What's happening? So my friend in Down would be his umpire. So they all come up chatting, and then I was like, totally bottled me getting on the ref.
It's all right. Yesterday's venue favoured Mayo and the ref as well. That neck high challenge on Thompson was possibly a red card. And another caller comments, if Jim made a bigger deal of the venue last week, it would have worked in Mayo's favour psychologically. And that is certainly a factor as well. Great to get the win yesterday, Greg, but apart from the last 5 minutes or so, it was a terrible game to watch, as were most games this year. I don't buy this narrative all about the new rules making games a better watch. It's the Emperor's New Clothes stuff. Granted, they are higher scoring, but that it's you see, it depends, I think, how you view games. And I've made the analogy with boxing before as well. You know, if you're into sort of the nuances of a game, the movement off the ball, the defensive elements, the fact that we count wides, but do we always factor in a brilliant piece of positioning from a defender to sort of force the wide? It depends how you watch the game. You know, if you want it all points and goals and whatever, you know, maybe. You know.
That's a glass half empty person there. Listen, you know how much I despised blanket defence.
Oh, yeah.
And how entrenched games come. But now, as I said, late on in that game, that was anybody's match. It was end to end. There was so much space, which people had shut down before. So I wouldn't agree with that at all. I mean, if this had been last year's game, that could have been 11-10 game.
Yeah.
And Donegal would have shut it down in many ways for me. Now that doesn't happen. You can only do it to a point. Now, there still is a bit of possession ball out around, but there's certainly much more one-on-ones and listen, to me, way more exciting.
Yeah, and sometimes it seems easy to break down those periods of possession. Love listening to Brendan Devaney's analysis. It's a perfect balance of knowledge and realism and good humour. Okay.
Thanks, Mum.
Is that Devaney or Devaney? Right, okay, so much to break down. So we know we're playing Donegal and we're playing Louth, Down are playing Galway, Dublin, Cork, Kerry, Cavan. All interesting games, actually. Cavan versus Kerry, in a way, sometimes the odd games jump out to me. It could be a good watch. And then, of course, that is to make our way into the quarterfinals proper, where the likes of Tyrone are awaiting.
Yeah.
So the Senior Ladies Championship begins at home to Galway as well, so you're going to be reflecting on the men's game.
Yeah, the ladies game, yeah. Chris Daly's on to their manager. Listen, it was a tough outing against Galway, and Galway are like heading for All Ireland. You know, it was a tough game, first game for ladies, but they're away to Tipperary in their next game out, so hoping for better there.
Yeah, indeed. Listen, Brendan, your guests on the show, as you know, because you told me, former County star Ryan Bradley, thought of GA sports writer Jason Byrne, and Donegal's main ladies manager James Daly. And that's live just after the 7 o'clock news this evening. You can watch it on our socials as well, and of course available for you to podcast. What a great subject matter you have to talk about, particularly today.
Listen, some football the weekend.
Yeah.
It was hard to keep up with it all. So just digest it this evening, and we'll do our best to wrap it all up.
Great stuff, and the game's coming thick and fast as well too, because they're already going to have to be looking forward to what's happening next weekend.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
This July 18th and 19th, Gweedore comes alive with Salt Music Festival 2025. On Saturday 19th, experience The Stunning, the Sharon Shannon Big Band with Garen Noon, the Luke Combs Experience, and many more. For more information and tickets, go to saltfela.ie. Salt Music Festival 2025. 2 days, one place, great music.
Monster Bingo every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel. €3,300 must go with €1,000 on the last page. Doors open 7:30. Bingo starts at 8:30. That's Monster Bingo this and every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel, Milford.
I love how you leave me a little card telling me you've dropped by. And I know that you'll always drop back in person. You're so thoughtful.
TV licence inspectors are calling now. You don't have to love it, but you do have to pay it. It's the law. Get your TV licence now at tvlicence.ie or at any post office. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Celebrate your love at Encourage Hotel, nestled in the heart of Donegal. With breathtaking views of Errigal Mountain and elegant surroundings, our venue offers the perfect setting for your special day. Experience exceptional service and create unforgettable memories. Discover more at encouragehotel.com.
Make real summer savings at Super Value. Like Super Value fresh meat range like sausages and burgers, 3 for €10. Fresh fruit and veg such as Onionette 3-piece 79 cents each. Confectionery selected ranges like Pepsi and Pringles, 3 for €5. And our summer rosé event now on in store. Make real summer savings at Super Value. Enjoy alcohol responsibly. DRS applies.
It's 252 time at Hyundai. Discover the all-new Inster 2025 World Electric Vehicle and the Santa Fe, Women's World Car of the Year 2025. Explore the new Ioniq 5 and discover why Ireland loves the best-selling Tucson and award-winning Kona. It's 252 time at Hyundai.
Your local dealer is Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. Call 9122 600.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time's 11:25, and we're on to Monday Focus, and continuing a focus on sport, in fact. And Declan Boyle is the Chief Executive Officer of the Donegal Sports Partnership. Good morning to you, Declan. Thanks for calling in.
Good morning, Greg. Good to be here.
Any good juicy stories about Brendan Devaney, or will we keep them for off air?
I think so. I was just saying that you love his enthusiasm and his energy, and listen, a wonderful Gaelic player, but also an extremely good soccer player. So I played along with him at Harps, brilliant guy, top guy.
Indeed, right. Exciting times in your new world, so to speak, because the 5th strategic plan has been launched. This will sort of guide us till 2029. So in your words, I suppose, what's this strategy? What's its aims?
Yeah, listen, I suppose it's our 5th strategy. It gives us a blueprint for 5 years of sports development participation around the county. And we've done an evaluation of the last strategy, and there was 4.47 million invested in sport in Donegal between 2020 and 24, which is a massive amount of money invested through the Donegal Sports Partnerships. We roughly have in the region of over 10,000 people participating in sport each year. So it's you know, I suppose the sports partnership has really come alive in regards to, you know, the capacity building. We also do a lot of stuff in regards to funding, education and training, and then obviously we do a lot of participation initiatives around getting people active in the community, and that's from all cohorts within the community. Yeah.
And, you know, we're in a position too, and it's nothing to do with me, it's thanks to you guys, is that you're heading into the next 4 years on brilliant foundations, because, you know, the work of the Donegal Sports Partnerships recognised. So you know, it's from a strong base to spring forward.
Absolutely, yeah. And listen, I suppose we had the strategy launched last Monday, and Miles Sweeney was there obviously as well, and Mickey McGeehan, two CEOs of the organisation. So I'm lucky to come after them, and I kind of stayed that on the night as well, because when they started off, it was from a low base and low funding, and I'm probably lucky enough to come in on the right side of things, where we have a lot more staff. We have 11 staff now within the Donegal Sports Partnerships. Our funding is getting larger and larger, and there's more investment in regards to the Sport Ireland into local sports partnerships and the NGBs as well. So it's a good time to be involved as a CEO of Donegal Sports Partnership, and obviously with extra funding then we can do more work in the community, and that's our goal. And you know, we have 11 staff, and that covers all areas of from sports clubs to education and training to ESF, you know, club development. So it covers so many areas.
And another thing too that I think is so important about this strategy too, it's not preachy. This has been formulated in consultation with the people on the ground who know exactly what's what. You know, because often their voices, they might be sought but aren't listened to. But this is, you know, a combination of the knowledge of your staff and your leadership and all, but also making sure that this strategy, you know, avails of the great experience that's out there.
I agree, absolutely. And it's probably the most important element of it, that consultation. You know, you want to get obviously the thoughts of the staff and the board of directors, but the most important element is that community engagement, what people want. You know, what's desire out there, what activities we'd like to see in the community, and what clubs want as well in community organisations.
And how you can support those that are doing great work and continuing and expanding that work.
Yeah, and that's the key, like, because we don't, majority of our programmes are delivered in collaboration with all our partners. So it's not just about Donegal Sports Partnerships. You know, we've Donegal County Council, with the ETB, you know, so we've Donegal Local Development and its own partnerships. We have so many partners that we link into and help and support our initiatives. So even though we might have a small bit of funding, when you bring 3 or 4 different partners together and they all can allocate some funding towards the programme, then that's where you get success. But going back to your point, it is that consultation with the community, what community people want. And again, like in the last 5 years, our community needs have totally changed. You know, you've obviously your Ukrainian communities come into it now as well, IPAS residents as well. So everything's changing all the time in the last couple of years, you know, but to get that feeling of what people want and you know what they deserve as well. And so it's, you know, it's about us then trying to deliver as much as we possibly can what they actually want.
Yeah, and sport comes in all different forms too. And I think really what the core thing here is recognising sport that it could be addressing isolation. It could be addressing inclusion. It could be addressing health. And it's about sort of, I suppose, encouraging people not to just sort of, you know, do sport for a week and then that's it, but for, you know, sport and activity to become part of their lives, and for them, you know, and everyone to recognise that, you know, in whatever form you partaking in, either psychological or perhaps more so physical, but both, that, you know, this enhances your life and it becomes part of your life and it's not just a one and done job.
Yeah, no, and that's the key, probably, you know, that introduce it into people who are not participating in sport, but make it part or pathway into a better health situation for themselves, both physically and mentally. I suppose to give you an idea, we had some activities down in the ETUs part of the launch, and we had Donegal Down Syndrome Association, we had Manor Curling, and we had Bridgestock Centre in Letterkenny as well. So we had really 3 different cohorts of people. So it gives you kind of a flavour of what we do and what we're all about.
Well, my eyes were opened up on that, because I've had some of your colleagues in over the years, and do you know the one thing that actually stands out for me, and I might say it if you don't mind, is sometimes we have a member of your staff and then we have maybe a few people associated with the sport or clubs, and the compliments from them towards the Donegal Sports Partnership and the support and the can-do attitude and we'll help you out. It seems very, very personal, if you know what I mean. And when we're talking about a multi-million euro budget thing, to sort of retain that sense of community and what have you, I think is actually really quite remarkable, and you don't see it in every organisation.
No, I suppose like at the end of the day, we're 11 staff people, in the organisation. The population of Donegal is about 150,000 people, so we can't, it's very, very difficult to get around to everybody. So that volunteer aspect, that club volunteer aspect, training up sports leadership, even teachers, getting them in regards to capacity building. So we know we can't attack every single avenue, but what we can do is educate and capacity build within club sectors so they can go out and deliver the programs for us in the community as well. Like we in the last 5 years, 340,000 invested in club development. Like that's I know every year the money doesn't be massive, or 40, 50,000, but when you put it together over a 4-year period, it's a lot of fun.
But that's not just GAA footballs and nets for soccer. Like you talked about the curling earlier on, it could be equipment for that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's sport that's how diverse we're talking about.
It is. I always say when you're chatting from preschool the whole way up to OAPs, and it's everything in between all that. So we're looking at those cohorts, and you mentioned like that. It's great. As people get older, it's great to see them involved in active age groups. And so that like Manor Curling Club, that age profile where people are I suppose coming near retirement, and some of them not always, but it's where they can go out and participate in a group setting where they leave the house and they go and have a bit of fun.
You're making it sound like a lot of fun, but they're bloody competitive.
Yes,
huh?
It is.
I mean, you're making it sound like they're all.
I know.
There's all clappy hands. They're trying to beat the crap out of each other.
Well, that's the thing.
Well, that's the impression I got.
I know. That it's funny. It doesn't matter what age. I think
if you've got that in you, it doesn't go.
I know. And some people.
Sorry, go ahead.
Some people don't take it competitive, but there obviously is some people that are very, very competitive. But listen,
dodgy approaches to other team members. No, not quite. I made that bit up.
You know what? But listen, whatever entices people to get active and get involved in sport, and that's the key. So it's either for a leisure aspect or for sociably and getting engaged in the community, or if you want to go and win a curling match, that whatever goes, we're obviously delighted to see.
I want to just to get to give another example of the wide remit of DSP. Talk to me, if you can, about the project, the initiative led out by Teresa Laverty, the S4E, because this is where people might not imagine the connection between sort of social issues and sport.
Yeah, listen, I suppose when you're looking at programs, you would never see this happening. I suppose, it is a pilot program for us, and we got a national award there as well, to promote inclusivity in sport and physical activity. So through the Irish Federation, what happened up in Dublin 3 weeks ago, so Trays and Donegal Domestic Violence Services partnered up together to deliver a program. So you were thinking, how can you put that together? But it just works a dream in regards to the program. The numbers have gone through the roof in regards to the amount of women and children that are involved as well that are participating in this program. So Donegal Domestic Violence Services actually, they obviously have that relationship with the women that are going through the process, and obviously then we come in there and provide opportunities for them to participate in sports, so equine therapy, yoga. There's 7 days of activities that are happening 7 days a week, and there's such a variety as well, and we've got kids involved in it as well. So there's multi sports involved in this, and started off with small numbers, but now the numbers are up at 80 to 90 people participating on a weekly basis. So it's actually incredible. So listen, it's one of those, I suppose, participation programs that you'd never think on paper that it would work, but it actually works perfectly, and it's been very highly successful.
Yeah, and I think it's sport is not just about sort of exercise or competition or recreation. It's how important its role is beyond that as well. And I think every example you've given so far highlights that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I suppose people are coming from bad backgrounds in regards to so they're leaving that environment, coming together with a group that know exactly what they're going through. So one of the key aspects is low in confidence, you know, and that's probably key from them coming together and hopefully developing their confidence levels, and for them to get participate in sport. And I suppose they can leave the environment where it's negative and go to a positive environment, and you know, so that's great in itself. And obviously then participate in sport. You know, we know all the health benefits of participating in sport. So you know, and then they come together as a unit, as a group, and their friendship as well, because from that environment that they're living in, you know, they're excluded from society. So now they're coming together as a collective group, and they're stronger in numbers, and it gives them the confidence to get through every day, you know, and hopefully lead into a better life.
Right, so it's not just either standing still or just simply working with those that you're working now. It's about, you know, the growth and development and recognising changing demographics and what have you. So people, presumably either organisations or individuals, can get more information at activedonegal.com, and there's contacts and stuff there.
Yeah, absolutely. We have the Facebook as well. So we're on, so anybody can go onto our Facebook page as well, or ring the office. So that, you know, anything that's happening regards funding and opportunities and programs as well. So just go onto our website. So it's you know, everything's there for everybody. But yeah, listen, delighted to get the opportunity to talk to you today.
Is there anything else you want to add, Declan? Just whilst you're up,
listen, yeah, I suppose the key 4 pillars probably for us is the active participation, that building the capacity as well, raising awareness, and developing partnership and sustainability. They're the 4 key pillars. But you say there's key actions within those, and you know, over the next 5 years we'll be delivering them key actions. And so we're delighted to get the opportunity, and it's a new era for the sports partnership. But looking forward to the challenges that it brings.
Yeah, exciting times ahead. Declan, thank you so very much indeed. That's Declan Boyle, who's Chief Executive Officer of the Donegal Sports Partnership, and speaking in the wake of the launch of the 5th strategic plan, which will guide until 2029.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
The body is that of a 35-year-old. Significant lesions to the face, particularly the right temple, correlating to the intracranial hemorrhaging observed. Seatbelt abrasions clear across chest and abdomen. Broken femur and tibia, right leg. Blood alcohol is over the legal limit. Cause of death, drink driving. Drink and drive, and it could be you on the mortuary slab. A message from the Road Safety Authority. Visit rsa.ie.
Fed up with unexpected car bills and just want trouble-free motoring? Then call in to Barry Brown Cars, your main Suzuki dealer, and place your 252 Suzuki order today. With an incredible 10-year warranty and 0% finance. What's not to love? Packed with features and renown for reliability, Suzuki's unbeatable offers are taking the car market by storm. So call in to Barry Brown Cars in Milford or Donegal Town to secure your 252 Suzuki today and drive away with peace of mind, thanks to that amazing 10-year warranty.
For the biggest names in perfumes and aftershaves, visit McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Dior, Armani and Hugo Boss, Victor and Rolf, Marc Jacobs and Lancôme. Also Gucci, Yves Saint Laurent, Prada and many more. From timeless classics to celebrity favourites, there's a perfume or aftershave for everyone at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny and online at mcgees.ie.
At Restex Beds, we are celebrating 50 incredible years in business. And we are introducing our brand new Glenveigh mattress, comfort that's as legendary as our half-century legacy. Experience 50 years of bedding excellence at Restex Beds, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Restex Beds, leave the rest to us.
If you have a special occasion coming up, Watson Menswear stock a great selection of men's and boys' formal and casual wear. Top casual brands include Mishmash, French Connection, Tommy Bow and Penguin. Formal wear names include Rimazumo, Sixth Sense and White Label, with a special suit deal of a 3-piece suit, shirt, tie and shoes, all for only €299. Watson Menswear, open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny and at watsonmenswear.com.
Hi folks, Paul McDevitt here, inviting you to join me this Monday night for another edition of the Monday Night Sessions. On the show this week, it's solid Donegal rock. We are delighted to welcome, and ahead of their first gig together in almost 10 years, the brilliant Mojo Go-Go. Staying with the rock theme, we also give a massive welcome to local band The Vipers. Plus, we'll be also bringing you some of the latest releases from the Northwest and around the rest of the country. So, that's the Monday Night Sessions, this Monday night between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. As always, right here on Highland Radio.
Boom, okay. Fair dues to Declan, but if we are getting government funding, it should be facilitated more than one sport. Example, state union should be used for soccer, Gaelic cricket, various games on one well-funded pitch. If public money is being used, then the public should have more access. So these facilities that gain these big funding being used to their maximum potential. I get where you're coming from, but this is kind of... This is not quite the same as the funding that clubs would get. Like, so Tuam had a recent big opening of their sports clubs grounds. That's not necessarily the Donegal Sports Partnership. That would be national funding and local fundraising. State unions would be the same. So this is a avenue of public funding that is purely designed to be as inclusive as is possible, and availing even sometimes of local community halls, so that people don't have to travel to Letterkenny, for an example, that they can take part in their activities in Carndonagh or wherever. Not right. Two provincial champs, Donegal and Louth, playing each other to get to a quarter-final. Provincial champs should be straight through. Yeah, I get where you're coming from, but listen, they're changing the system next year again anyway, so it's kind of a dead duck sort of debating the rights and wrongs of this year's format, I think. Paddy's on about the rally. Well, if people think it's chaos at the Polestar roundabout on any day of the week, what's it going to be like next weekend when the Donegal rally's on and Donegal fans are travelling from Letterkenny and Fanad and so forth, attempting to get to the quarterfinals that's in Ballybofey? Multiple chaos. But listen, I mean, I know where you're coming from, Paddy, but if you look at, like, around Croke Park or around, any major area where you attract people in, I mean, we don't want to be completely isolated either, do we? I mean, we've got two big events. It's going to be hopefully a big moneymaker for Donegal businesses and extra staff being brought in and have an extra few quid in their pockets to spend. Yes, it's going to be inconvenient, but look, Roscommon would have been very hard to get around yesterday with Donegal fans down there. It's part and parcel of hosting venues, I think, and people will adjust their plans accordingly, I'd imagine. On active travel in Letterkenny, hi Greg, Councillor Jerry McMonigal made a very telling comment regarding the new traffic plans. He said we have to reduce our reliance on cars. The fact is that the cycling lanes and reduction of lane width are having a catastrophic effect on traffic. It is as if the council and its councillors are purposely making it difficult for motorists. Coincidentally, this reflects the UN 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, which all the main parties, including Sinn Féin, have signed up to. I can't speak to that. I'll have to take your word on it for now. Well, part of that plan is to reduce private car ownership. Another part of the plan is to ban private traffic from urban centres and force people to use public transport. All well and good in cities like Dublin, which has public transport and healthcare facilities. Not so good in Donegal, where we have utterly inadequate public transport and healthcare services. Councillor McMonigal alluded to the new traffic plans allowing him the option to cycle to council meetings. It appears Letterkenny and other Irish towns and cities are being used as a pilot project for the UN 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. But, like, I'm not part of any agenda or what have you, but I mean, like, I speak to young people, and a lot of young people, they're talking about licenses and insurance and stuff, but a lot of young people too are talking about getting about, just on public transport. They want better bus links. They don't necessarily want a car or don't feel they need a car. So we can't keep going the way it's at, where every town's snarled up with private cars. Like, you have to have alternatives. You don't force people to use a bus, but you have regular buses there. You don't force people to cycle, but you provide the facilities for them to do so. How much of a percentage of a traffic does it take out? Is it 10%, 15%? I don't know what the target is, but it would ease traffic. So that's the logic, and I'm not sure it's a part of a big conspiracy. I think, we've lots and lots of cars. I myself, as an individual that sat in a car, I dropped the boys to school, and I would be the only person in that car, and there would be, 100 other cars with just one person in that car as well. That doesn't make sense, does it? But we just didn't have access to a convenient bus service. Greg, if drivers in general around the town learn to stay, that must be Letterkenny, If drivers in general around Letterkenny learned to stay out of yellow boxes, traffic would flow better. Plan for Circular Road is ridiculous. I'm a resident of that area, and no right turn to shops is a pure disgrace. From Rosaline. Thanks, Rosaline. Sometimes it's hard to stay out of the boxes, though. Like, if you see outside the McGettigan's there, that yellow box, I mean, if you're coming down the right-hand road, if you know what I mean, heading towards the bottom of the town, there are times that if you don't make a move, and maybe roll the dice a little bit, that you would never get away, such as how quick the lights change and what have you. But anyway, public consultation believes a caller is just lip service. It's already planned, designed, etc. Very little to nothing gets changed. The public consultation, for instance, will not stop it. It may adjust it, but if it's being planned, it won't stop it, whether it's needed or not, whether it's of any benefit or not. Ashlawn in Letterkenny is like a motorway every morning from 7:45 to 9 a.m, with people using it as a shortcut to avoid traffic delays. Seriously, Jerry, you're going to cycle to work as if a resident in Binion Avenue here. You honestly think cycle lanes are going to be the answer to the traffic issues at Circular Road? Wake up, please. No problem. Morning, Greg. All these cycle lanes are ridiculous. You'd want to be Bradley Wiggins to cycle up De Valera and up to Glencar. Are there any brains used in traffic in terms to traffic in this town? Utterly ludicrous. As I say, though, I do think a lot of bikes, they do have assistant motors or are fully electric. So maybe that will be the future. Damage done in Ballybofey at 3 a.m. on Friday past night. Porter rang guards. They didn't arrive until Saturday. Can you ask our politicians why are there no guards in Ballybofey? Residents in Navaney Street are now concerned. Is that a fire? I was sent an image of a fire on the Donegal Road on fire. I'm not sure if that is the same thing. I'll keep an eye on whether or not the Gardaí include this tomorrow. I'm not sure of the situation you're talking of there. Go the Dunlow route to Ballybofey. I live in Go-to-Hawk. It's a roundabout way to do it, but with the rally on, it's a safer route. I'll be there, rain or shine or traffic. Of course you will. A caller says the most dangerous thing a child can face in its early development is not a lack of breastfeeding, it's abortion, which I understand where that listener is coming from, and they come in quite regularly. That is your view, and I know you must obviously feel very strongly about the abortion issue, but do we not do anything else? We do also have to talk about other issues outside of the context of abortion, if that makes sense, because otherwise we'll just not fix anything until such time as you get your wish for abortion to be banned. And how is that benefiting all children? Hi, Greg. I'm a breastfeeder myself and currently feeding, and I'm all for it. But can I just add, Karen Millen fed her own 3 children for 6 months, and she also apologised. Great to be having a conversation about it on your show. Thank you. And we did talk about her apology, but it's just sort of bait sort of media or conversations. It doesn't need to be said. It doesn't benefit anyone. It's a far out view that claims to give a medical opinion, but the person has no medical background. I know she's apologised, but still people feel the hurt, and I just think people need to be a bit more responsible. Say what you like, but just be a bit more sensitive. Let me see. I have to take a break. I'll be back with the weather after these messages.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Get grilling with the Sahara Gas Barbecue from Sprat Fireplaces, New Mills, Letterkenny. Perfect for Irish summers with quick ignition, even heat and loaded with features. From steaks to burgers, Sahara Barbecues handle it all. Fire up your summer today. See spratfireplaces.ie or call 912444. Sprat Fireplaces, your barbecue destination.
At Warehouse Bar and Kitchen, Main Street, Letterkenny, you'll find mouth-watering food and drinks served 7 days a week. Great deals with Tuesday burger night, Thursday steak night, Fizzy Friday and weekend brunch. There's live music every weekend and the perfect spot for your private parties. Follow Warehouse Bar and Kitchen on social media for specials and updates.
Sometimes you have to simply enhance what you have. Like the new Opel Mokka. With a new infotainment system, dash and interior. It's had a little work done. After all, it's what's on the inside that counts. As for the outside, why mess with perfection? The new Opel Mokka. It's a head-turner. Available in petrol, hybrid and electric. Find out more at Manor Motors Opel. See manormotors.ie for details.
Granny, did you hear what I said?
If you've been saying, what was that? A bit more lately, it might be time to have your hearing checked. At Connect Hearing, we don't just fit hearing aids, we help you hear life again. From tiny in-the-ear styles to Bluetooth connected devices, we fit the best solution for you. Call 074 911 3296. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
Hegarty's Home Interiors Buncrana, the biggest direct importer of sofas, beds, mattresses and flooring in the Northwest. Best in stock deals on selected sofas and corner sofas. Best in stock deals on gas lift beds. Best in stock on mattresses. Best in stock deals on laminate flooring, semi-solid flooring and carpets. Full fitting service on carpets and wood flooring. With a free delivery service throughout the Northwest, including all of Northern Ireland. Hegarty's Home Interiors Buncrana. Always lower prices.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find all your summer essentials from fashion and accessories to beauty and homeware at McElhenney's. Explore more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
So today a mix of cloud and some sunny spells with small chance of a few showers this morning. That chance has passed now. And more in the way of sunshine developing towards evening. Temperatures of 17 to 20 degrees, but those winds continuing to be fresh from a southwest direction. Catherine Corliss is a historian and joins me on the programme now, and we're talking about the start of an excavation on the site of the mass burial ground where up to 800 babies and toddlers are buried in Tuam in County Galway. That begins today and is sort of the tentative beginnings of a much more wider dig. Catherine, it's, you know, the numbers we're talking of here is huge, and it's about identifying these people as well, these babies. It's heartbreaking, isn't it? Sorry to bring emotion into it off the get-go, but it's very hard not to.
Yes, indeed. It's a very emotional day in every way, and it's good and it's great that it's happening. Now, it is tough, all right, to think of the whole background of it and what happened. But it's justice, and that's the way I look at it now. And I'm very happy that it's happening eventually after a long, long struggle.
How did 800 young people end up being buried over a period spanning 1925 to 1961? Remind us as to how this could have happened in a relatively sort of modern society.
Well, the big question is, I can never answer that. And the big, that so many babies and young children died in the care of a nursing congregation, Bundscore Sisters. But however, the worst of all of that is where they were buried. And that has been my focus for the last 11 years. I've been just campaigning to get them out of that sewage system. It was a defunct sewage system that was used to bury them, and on top of that, then when the nuns left in 1961 and closed up the home, there was no trace left that there was so many babies and young children buried in that area, and that really saddened me. So that is why I fought all those years for justice. And today is a good day that all that wrong is going to be undone, and they're going to be exhumed over the next year or so. Mm-hmm. And just today, I just see that all the equipment needed to take on this mammoth task, it's just they're moving it all in today, and it's just a certainty for me that this is actually really happening after all those years, and it's a good day.
And every one of these babies and toddlers, there's a story even behind the tragedy that they should be treated like this after death, their treatment prior to their death, the impact it might have had on mothers or wider families. The ripples just extend so far. Do you believe that we are talking of a figure up to 800, Catherine? How has that been established that could be the number we're discussing?
Well, all I know is, and right from the start, I started out to see how many babies actually died in the home itself, because I had never known about it until I started my research. And when I got the staggering figure from the Birth, Death, Marriages in Galway, that there were 796 death certs for all those babies. And we're talking about babies, young children, toddlers, all up to 3 years old. And I was just absolutely stunned and horrified to get the 796 actual registered deaths. Now, there may be more that we don't know, but and worse was to come then. I realised that I couldn't find a burial plot for them either in Tuam or on the outskirts or anywhere. So that's when the big question came up. And then when I found out that there was actually home babies buried on the site itself, that's when I really started into my research. And it was the Commission of Inquiry then which was set up, and when they when they did a test excavation in the area of the sewage tanks, they came across chambers which contained significant numbers of bones and they were carbon dated, and it said yes, indeed, these are not historical burials. They're the home babies. So it was a shocking revelation, and it's shocking that I had to convince people that something had to be done. They had to be taken out of there and given a decent Christian burial, because all those babies and young children, they were baptised, and why they were put into a sewage system and forgotten about, I cannot answer that.
Catherine, how do you put your feelings into context or today, in that, you know, you ploughed a very lonely hollow for quite some time, and now, as you say, it's not a aspiration. The machinery is on site. This is hopefully maybe the beginning of the end. So, you yourself as an individual, how are you feeling today? Are you okay? Hopefully, you've got plenty of people around you just to give you a shoulder if needed.
Well, I mean, the way I look at it is, I fought for this for so many years. I fought for justice. And to me today, all I see is justice for those babies and what should have been done long, long ago. And they're going to get a decent burial, a Christian dignified burial, and they're going to get a dignified plot. And as well as that, a lot of the little remains that are there, they will be DNA tested so that they may be returned to the families who want to retrieve them. And that is great. And also, it's a forensics examination. So a lot of those babies, I've always believed that they died from pure neglect and nothing else. So hopefully they will get DNA evidence of that as well.
Okay.
I mean, it's a day of justice. It's a day of all the wrongs being put right.
Okay.
And that's what I fought for, and that's the way I see it.
All right, Catherine, listen, thank you for all you've done. Take care of yourself. Catherine